What kind of twat still uses, or has ever used the term dino-tastic? Even if you are talking explicitly about dinosaurs, you are a fool of the highest degree to use the word dino-tastic. It doesn't even sound like an established word.
Dinotastic. The Fossil Fighters press release. Jim's talking about Fossil Fighters again.
Does that look like a good game?
I don't know. It's sat on my desk for weeks.
I heard it's not the worst game.
What is the worst game?
That's a good question.
Bubble.
Trio the Punch. What'd you say?
Bubble.
No.
No, I like Bubble.
I like Bubble a lot.
I'm
You ever played
salty.
Bubble Memories? Bubble Memories?
Bubble Memories. Bubble Memories.
Play Bubble Memories tonight.
Bubble Memories.
The fuck is that?
I've never heard of Bubble Memories.
I believe that is Bubble 3, but it might be 4.
I always get Bust-A-Move and Bubble mixed up.
Well, it's got both got Bub and Bob. Yep.
Yeah, that's true, but Bust-A-Move has more bubbles in it. I mean, I guess they're just, there are more bubbles.
Then, of course, they cross over Bustle really confused matters.
What's Bustle?
Bustle. It was a crossover between Bubble and Bust-A-Move.
Holy crap! I've never heard of that.
No, I just made it up.
I think the part that can really suck my dick is the part where Bust-A-Move isn't a dancing game. Like it sounds like it'd be feel the groove, Bust-A-Move. Like it sounds like you're busting moves, but you're not. There's no moving in there.
That. Max Scoville, you bring up an interesting period in video game history in the PlayStation 1 era. Bust-A-Move, as we know in the United States, is actually called Puzzle Bobble in Japan, where there was a rhythm dancing series called Bust-A-Move. I think it was on the Sony PlayStation 1, and they later made an arcade version. There's a fat hamburger man who has a rap in it.
And in Japan, Buster Keaton is called Puzzle Keaton as well. It's a whole thing over there.
So when they brought Bust-A-Move to the United States, they had to change its name to Bust a Groove. And the theme
remember
song.
that.
Yeah, you remember it. Yeah, I played that game a lot.
That's educational. That's education on this Podtoid. Welcome to it, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Jim Sterling. I'm joined by Max Schofield.
Why the fuck did they call it a Wonder Swan? That's my question.
I'm also joined by Tara Long.
Hello.
Hello, and... Oh, who is that over there? Fucking hell. Tickle and Ocelot. It's Jonathan Holmes.
Tickle and Ocelot?
Yes.
I don't think you can
I
do
only
that.
know about Balder Ocelot. That's all I know
I think they'll
about.
bite you.
What are they? What's an Ocelot do?
They're like little... they're shit
They're like
leopards,
bobcats.
basically. They're like little spotted, like... I hesitate to call them
They're
big
really cute.
cats, because they're more like small dogs.
I like little cats. That sounds great.
They're bigger than a house cat, and they bounce around at the zoo.
But they look like leopards.
Have you ever seen a Bengal cat?
Yeah.
Because they're bred
huge.
between I think it's an African leopard and an ocelot, I want to say. But they're about the size of dogs. You can have them in the States. They're very expensive. I played with one when I was working at Tower Records. A guy came in with a Bengal cat, and he had it, and it was on a leash, and it acted like a dog. And I pet it, and I played with it a little bit, and I was like, "What's its name?" And he goes, "Oh, dude." I'm like, you have a majestic goddamn $1,000 animal, and you're calling it dude.
Wow.
Like, I just wanted to take his fucking stupid hacky sack and shove it in his butt and just kick him in the ass and make him leave my store and keep his cool cat.
I've been playing Metal Gear Solid HD Collection, and obviously Revolver Ocelot is a big character in that. And I've been playing Snake Eater, and he's like, "Oh, an ocelot never leaves its prey behind." And I'm like, dude, it's a shit cat. You are talking about like a tiger butt shit.
Yeah, I never thought
It's
about that.
impressive to call
Revolver
yourself
Ocelot is not scary.
No, it's like a gum. He should have just called himself Gum Cat. That's basically what he is. And he's like, oh, I'm Revolver Ocelot. And he's like, it's not impressive, mate. Gum Cat, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. Ocelot! That's pretty racist, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen?
No, that's just how people talk sometimes.
Is it still okay to be racist to the Japanese? Because there's always that line. It's like, you can't be racist about, like, say, black people. But Japanese people, knock yourself fucking out. Fucking paint your face yellow and go on TV and go, oh, Harrow, and apparently that's okay. I don't get why that...
Who does
In their
that?
defense, the Japanese are really weird.
The Asians are the most racist race.
Wow. The Asians are what now?
They're the most racist race.
As a friend of mine who lives in Japan was just telling me that Westerners use terms like homogeneous and xenophobic to describe Japanese culture, when what we're trying to say is racist, but we don't want to sound racist by saying they're racist.
No, I don't mean specifically the Japanese. I mean, I'm saying the Asians are legitimately, like, very... I mean, it's a racist thing to say, but it's pretty funny because, I mean, my girlfriend's Vietnamese, and I'm not a racist, obviously, because I live with, one of the Orientals, but...
That's your race beard.
But no, we'll be like on the bus, and she'll be like, oh, those Chinese people, and I'm like, what? And I'm like, well, they did go to war, those countries, and I'm just, I don't know what to say. I'm like, okay.
It's like they didn't go to war last week, though. That's the thing. I never got that. Like, people still having racial enmity or racial pride for things that, like, people they don't know did. Like, whenever an American says, like, we saved your ass in World War II! Ha ha ha! I'm like, no, you fucking didn't, you cunt! I was not in World War II, and neither were you!
I don't... Yeah,
that's right.
It's just weird, because, like, it doesn't matter what race the people are. Like, these were, like, annoying Chinese people on the bus who were just, like, screaming at each other and saying loud shit, and it's like... They could have been, like, fucking, superheroes. They could have been, like, my favorite band, and if they were just screaming at each other, I would have been annoyed anyway. Like, I don't give a fuck if it's, like, Chinese people or, like...
I'd be doubly annoyed if, like...
Talking giraffes. Like, I don't...
Megadeth were on the bus screaming at each other with Chinese accents.
Bruce Dickinson, for God's sweet sake, just sit down and be quiet.
Well, I think that racism... That implies that people are genetically different. Like, those people are talking that way because their cells are different than my cells, and it's making them talk funny. That's racism. That's not good. But if you don't like certain cultural quirks, like when I was in Greece, I think I might have told you guys this already, you had to yell at everyone in order to get anyone to listen to you at all. Did I tell you this already?
No.
I was like yelling at a man, like, don't put yogurt on my hamburger. He's like, you're going to like this. I'm like, no yogurt on the burger, please. Just no yogurt. That's all that I'm asking. I'm paying you money for a hamburger. You can save some yogurt. You can sell it to somebody else. A profit deal for you. Yeah.
Why in God's name were you trying to buy a fucking hamburger in Greece?
They look good. Except for the yogurt.
Like, get a fucking hero or something. Why can't you just be holding out for a hero like Bonnie Tyler?
Do they actually have those in Greece, though? Or is that like a made-up American thing? Because God, it's delicious.
I ate Greek food once. It was full of pistachio nuts. It closed my throat.
Oh.
And then I ended up with like a map of Europe rendered on my face in itchy blotches. And and my stepdad at the time, who was mad, said it was because I was dirty. made me have a wash and everything. It's a weird man. Abusive. So that's... sorry.
Glad he's gone.
Yeah. He was the man who looked exactly like the hairy biker at the beginning of Terminator 2 Judgment Day who gives Arnold Schwarzenegger his clothes, boots, and motorcycle. I watch that and have power fantasies.
He doesn't give them to him. I mean,
he does? Well, eventually.
It's not like, oh, hey, robot from the future.
It's
like, okay, you burned me with the stove. Here are the keys.
He does give them, though. Like, he's on the floor going, take it. It's like, he did technically give it. It was technically a gift imparted at that point. Anyway, we're getting off the real point of today's episode, which is...
Yes, what's the real point?
Right, it's funny how earlier we were talking about Metal Gear Solid, which has a guy called Solid Snake in it, and we were talking about big cats. which are another form of cats. Because Jonathan Holmes, right?
Yeah.
And people might not know about this, but Jonathan Holmes, when he's not talking to women about video games or hosting Podtoid, is a psychologist.
No, I'm not.
He is a qualified psychiatric and psychologist, whichever. He's basically qualified for whatever job I need him for on the podcast, because he has a job that's vaguely associated with that line of work that fascinates me. And as such, Jonathan Holmes is obviously an expert on dreams.
And ocelots.
And what they mean for the human psyche. So on this, which will definitely be a regular segment every week, just like all the other ones, is something I have called Jim, and I'm so proud of this, Jim and the Amazing Technicolor Dream Homes.
Ooh.
Which works because he is called Holmes, which sounds a bit like coat, and he is Technicolor because we don't know what race he is.
Yeah, that's true.
See, I was confused because I thought you were talking about dream homes like, oh, this is my ideal house. It has a white picket fence.
We can't do that. The DIY channel already has that on copyright.
It's the DIY channel. They told us to do it ourselves. Those fucks.
I don't think that even comes on standard cable, so we have nothing to worry about.
That is entrapment, but we can't because they've already got a guy called Holmes who looks at Holmes, which is, writes itself, basically.
Yeah.
Don't say it!
Sorry.
Don't invoke the spirit of Holmes.
It's a good show.
The DIY man, who looks like he should be a drill sergeant somewhere. Anyway, the point is, Jonathan Holmes, last night I had a dream about snakes that had been breeding with cats and were now really poisonous, and they bit my wife, who wasn't my actual wife. It was like some Hollywood celebrity one for drama. And I want to know what that means, please.
That means you've been playing too much Fallout New Vegas.
Does that mean I'll be coming into some money or not? Can dreams tell the future or not, Jonathan? You are
some say they can, that we're all plugged into the collective unconsciousness, and our dreams let us know what other people in the world are doing, and therefore we can predict what the future will be based on the intentions of other people, kind of like Inception.
Those are the people who name their pet cat Dude.
I like cats who just name like Gary.
Jonathan Holmes, are we in the Matrix?
we might be.
There's a question.
So your dream, the snake bred with cats, huh?
Yeah, funny enough, that was just because I was mostly scared because of all the poisonous snakes that were in bushes and trees and coming out and getting us and stuff. And there was a bit where a snake's tail fell off, and then another snake fell out the tree and grabbed the tail and walked off with it. It slithered off with it, right? And then anyway, it bit this woman who was playing my wife, right? And we was in the hospital. It was very scary. And there were snakes everywhere. And then just someone as an aside just happened to mention, oh yeah, they've been breeding with cats. Which I didn't think was all that important at the time, but when I woke up, it was like, obviously that was the important bit. So what does it mean?
It could mean so many different things. But you were playing a game about snakes and cats before you had the stream?
I have been playing Metal Gear Solid quite a bit. I've been stabbing snakes with a knife.
They have snake cats. They have snake cats in Fallout. The poisonous ones.
What?
They do.
No, they don't.
The Night Stalkers.
They're dogs. They're like
Are they dogs?
They're like reptilian dog things.
I don't give a fuck what the rest of the animal is if its head is like a rattlesnake with ears.
Yeah, although
Doesn't it just have like a lizard head or something?
It's kind of like a dog snake thing.
It's that old quandary again.
But I've been eating snakes and going, pretty tasty.
I love Metal Gear Solid 3 so much. I don't even have to play it. I just want to be around it.
If you play Metal Gear Solid correctly, which is every time you catch an animal, you bring up the radio and speak to paramedic, the game becomes about a man just wandering lost in the jungle who can't stop putting things in his mouth. It's she's like, oh, you got yourself a python. It's like, how does it taste? It's just like, dude, it's a snake. Don't eat it. I'm gonna fucking eat it. I'm eating it right now.
Just half an hour ago, I was doing the same thing in Skyrim, and I was like, oh yeah, here's a great thing to do. Let's go in the woods and eat things that we find there.
Oh yeah,
see how that works out.
Yeah, just grabbing moths and eating the wings.
Yeah,
why not?
I don't think anyone ever did that in history.
I don't think anyone's based a game so accurately on my life. That's what I do. Like, I'll be in the forest just eating dirt and leaves and bits of old raccoon that I find because fat, guys. Fat tits.
Excuse me, Jim, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Has anyone ever called you Psycho Man Tits?
No, but I'd love that because Psycho Mantis is a main character. I need to start cosplaying as Psycho Mantis.
Yeah,
brilliant.
I'll give you a gas mask of some.
But I want to be Revolver Oshawott, like the Pokemon. But he has.
Oh, I love him.
I actually don't like Oshawott. I would be I don't know. I would be Pig Boss.
Oh yeah, I like that one too.
Yeah, it'd be different.
Who started that whole Pokemon Black White Metal Gear crossover? I've seen so much of that.
I haven't seen a full thing. It was just like stuff that I said to myself when I was playing Pokemon.
Great minds think alike.
Did they do Ekans Dylos?
I don't think they did. No.
That is a good one. I'll just come up with that one.
Yeah, we should draw that. We should totally draw that. Yeah.
I had a nightmare, actually. I just realized this. I just remembered right now.
I had a
horrible nightmare. I was in Alien, and the xenomorph was coming for me. And it was like the first one, and in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm not in the James Cameron one. The alien is a little bit slow in this one. It's not that, and there's only one of them, so I wasn't that scared. Mm-hmm. But even so, I was trying to hide in a cupboard from it.
Okay.
Holmes, what does it mean if you don't have dreams anymore? If they just stopped one day, does that mean you're dead inside? Because I think I might be dead inside.
It means you're
really sad. Just I'm far along and I no longer have dreams.
A year ago, I just stopped having dreams. It's really weird.
Well, a year ago, you started the Podtoid show and your sleep.
Well, I mean, it didn't correspond exactly. I don't think.
Yeah, not exactly, but it's all about you remember your dreams when you wake up slowly and naturally, and have your brain waves, I think, cycle from gamma to alpha or something like that, gamma to beta to alpha, so you can kind of experience the dream while you're still awake and really rehash it in your mind. So you don't actually remember your dream, you remember remembering your dream. It's like a carbon copy of it.
My wife said we're not supposed to remember our dreams. Like,
okay.
Physiologically, we're not supposed to.
Is that
I don't know what the science of that is.
Does she mean that like we'll get in trouble if we do, or scientifically? Is that like what she tells the kid, like, don't just forget your dreams, like just don't just
give it up.
I think there's a tax on it. Like you have to like pay an amount if you remember them. God, and they're all stored in a big government vault.
That sounds like a terrible fucking movie that I wouldn't ever want to see. That sounds like Jumper crossed with Inception. Like, just like, oh no, it can't stop us from having dreams.
That'd be a fucking great film. We would call the film Tax Your Dreams.
Dream Taxer.
Dream Tax. I've come to collect your dreams.
Well, if there's a guy like that, yeah, then I'd watch it.
Give them to me!
What if it was like Freddy Krueger, except he just... Like, he didn't actually keep people from waking up.
The dream tax man.
What if he didn't actually hurt people? He would just give them nightmares, and then they'd wake up, and they're like, man, that was a shitty dream. I had a dream about a guy with claws. But it wouldn't be claws. It would just be like one... It'd be like one really big hand, you know? Like one really... It'd be like a big...
Krueger's a ghost, right? Sort of?
No, he's a pedophile.
Yeah,
there are some similarities.
Speaking of ghosts, I'm in my kitchen right now, and I had some. I don't even know what breed of monster cereal it was. I had a combination of Count Chocula and Frankenberry and Booberry. And there's
everything that you ever eat that you post to Twitter looks disgusting. By the way.
Yeah.
It's always like the most odd arrangement of things.
I love how there's those hood rich guys in Russia who are like, here's a picture of all the $20 American bills I have next to my gun collection and a pile of floppy disks. Like, you know, those people who do that kind of shit and then they post it on the internet. I do that, except it's like, here's all the junk food I have in my house plus a sword and a copy of a popular video game. Like, here's my bag of beef jerky and Skyrim and my sword and a box of tissues because I'm going to masturbate to Skyrim.
Did you see that photo? Right, did you see the photo that had been circulating of the copy of Skyrim plus the dragon fleshlight and the dragon dildo and the dragon lube.
Yeah, I was pissed off at that because it was a 6-pack of Coke next to it. That was fucking lame. That's, like,
Whoa,
that's cool if you've got Skyrim and you've got the dragon dildo and the dragon pussy. That's fine. A 6-pack of Coke, that's just fucking pathetic, you know?
Yeah, that was disappointing.
That's like here's my monster truck and my hover jet and my brewery that I own, and then here is a pair of fucking Adidas that I'm gonna wear while I'm doing these things. Like what the fuck is that? Like one of these things is not like the other.
Right.
Yeah.
Skyrim is cool and dragon sex is great. Coca-Cola.
It is.
What the fuck is that?
Coca-Cola's all right.
Maybe he doesn't drink.
Fine.
Maybe he's a man of principle.
That's fine. Get some Mountain Dew, you fucking pussy. Like what the
Mountain Dew
what
is
the
gross,
fuck?
though.
Yeah, I'm not a big Mountain
I don't understand how people like it.
No,
Yeah,
Mountain Dew is a fitting drink for like a medieval game because it sounds like something magical. It's Mountain Dew, and then if you're not gonna have that, get some Red Bull because at least that has a picture of like a sort of scary animal on it.
Monster Energy all the way.
Exactly, something mystical. Coca-Cola, that's got a fucking picture of Santa Claus and polar bear on it. That's bullshit.
Well, he's mystical too.
Holidays are coming. Holidays.
Yeah.
Holidays are
Like
Holidays are coming.
What does Skyrim have to do with masturbating exactly?
Jonathan Holmes, I'm doing my Christmas Coca-Cola song.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm done.
Skyrim makes you want to masturbate.
How come? Sexy?
How come? Sexy?
guys.
Yes, sexy.
Oh, guys.
I really have to get around the plane. I've been too busy. Yes, Max? I'm listening.
My neighbor just banged on my wall because I'm talking too loud.
Oh.
Fuck that douchebag.
Dragon sex.
Wow, what a horrible person you live next to.
Yeah, that's
my house, fully detached.
I
I can do what I want. I can go like that.
Before I forget, we're going to talk about Saints Row the Third soon, right?
What?
We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Saints Row the Third soon, but a man named Raymond Chan.
What? Huh?
There's a man.
Huh?
There's a man.
What?
Oh,
Raymond
right.
Huh?
Chan.
Huh?
Raymond Chan emailed me on November 1st.
I'm sorry.
He emailed me 2 weeks ago asking to give a shout out to his fiancée Molly, who is in college right now, and she loves the show. He thought it would be a
still
gift.
called Molly today?
Molly's a very nice
That's like
name.
the name of a doll in a kid's TV show.
Don't insult our fans.
Dude, our fans
I think you have a lovely name, Molly.
Our fans insult themselves by listening to this shit for 2 hours every week.
That's true.
I'm only joking. I do like the name Molly.
Yeah, it's
because I find dolls in kids shows incredibly attractive.
Oh, Jim.
Wow. Wow.
Did
you see that video a man made of me?
What? Oh, yeah.
A man made that thing.
Was that all he wanted then? Was that?
I saw that video.
Because that guy's wanted us to give that shout out to his fiancée for like, what, 2 weeks? Is that where we're going to leave it? It's just going to be that passing reference and ending on me, like, mocking her, because that's a bit bad.
There's not much more I have to go on.
He didn't give us any pictures. Send us some pictures of her pancake flappers, please. I really don't want it. And when I say I really don't want it, that's not an insult against whatever she looks. I don't know what she looks like.
Wait a second. I just read the original email from this guy, and he says, I think it's better now because of the hermaphroditic representation you guys had. Very socially progressive podcast. Fuck that guy and his girlfriend.
Wait, what's wrong with... Oh, I thought I was an hermaphrodite on the show.
No, you're the Eskimo melting pot kind of...
We literally had an episode called Tara Long is a Hermaphrodite.
That's a great episode title.
That popped up in my Google alerts for weeks.
I bet that wasn't the only thing that popped up, right, Tara Long? Hermaphrodite.
Penis.
Dear. I was actually a bit worried when I did that episode, because I couldn't think of anything better to call it, and I was worried about upsetting Tara. And then I kind of compartmentalized it in the same way Harold Shipman or Jeffrey Dahmer might compartmentalize something. So I hope I didn't offend you when I did that, Tara Long.
Of course not. I mean...
Is it okay?
No comment there. Yeah.
I do apologize if I did. It really was, and it did great numbers, listeners.
Did it really?
It did well, yeah.
Oh, good. I haven't heard.
I think our most downloaded episode ever is the one called Huge Breast Fantasy.
Yep.
Oh
But
yeah.
I'm surprised if Fat Tits makes it up there.
I think
People like searching for tits on podcasts.
it was either Huge Breast or the Voldemort one because of the word Voldemort in the name. So we should just like start calling every episode Voldemort boobs.
I started
we
tweeting
should
out our
probably
episodes on
capture the.
Twitter just as boobs.
Yeah.
We should
Works.
get the Twilight market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Edward Twilight boobs.
Imagine
Call it-
Twilight moms coming into our podcast expecting to hear about Twilight.
I tried to watch Twilight for the first time, like I guess
Jim.
they were showing it around Halloween.
Oh, Jim, I want to watch it with you so bad.
We need to next PAX or something organize a Twilight movie night for like Destructoid people. Just like come to one of the hotel rooms or just in one of the, if they ever let us back in the convention center in one of their rooms. And just Twilight movie night. Bring some vampire blood and watch with vampire popcorn.
A guy made me go see Twilight 2 with him. A guy who wanted to date me.
Whoa.
After that, it was like, no.
How did
I'm
you-
What do you
sorry.
look like?
He made you. That sounds like
Here's the better thing. He was 38 years old.
ugh.
Did he have long hair?
No.
Huh. All right.
I actually went on a date
He's
with
like,
him,
I'm-
and then I went on a date with him, and then after that, I was like, whatever.
Well,
And then a few weeks later, he like invited me to a movie with him. He was like, nobody else will see it with me. Will you go? And I was just like, God damn it. And I went, and it was like $15 because movies in San Francisco are really expensive, and it fucking sucked. It was awful.
Damn.
Yeah, it's a pretty bad
Yeah.
movie.
Tara, will you watch Rugrats in Paris with me?
That would be more tolerable than Breaking Dawn or whatever the fuck it's called.
I thought it was cute. How
I-
bad it was.
I
got its
watched,
charms.
I think it was the first one, whatever one, when he stands in the sunlight and says, "This is
Yeah,
how
no,
I look." And he just,
Yeah,
like,
sorry,
like,
dude. You don't have to
puts in a
pay money for
glitter gun.
body glitter.
It was quite interesting.
I read the book. I read the first book and a half because I was bored and I wanted to figure out why it was a thing. I was just curious, and those books, the movies are better than the books, and the movies aren't very good.
Wow.
I've heard that the
And yet
the
you
author is
finished the
terrible.
first one and started the second one.
Yeah.
From what I know about them, they're like really badly researched, like about the locations they're based in. The author pretends that it's not fan fiction about her, even though the character is described as looking exactly like her. And
There's no character. There's no character. Like she's, it's insane. She's
It's basically, isn't it just like a stand-in for any unpopular girl? And it's like, don't worry, one day
But she's
you'll
really
get fucked
popular.
by some.
she's really popular.
have
I have this theory because you've got Dracula and the Wolfman, sexy Dracula and sexy Wolfman, and they're fighting over, her affections, and all the human kids at school are like, oh, Bella, come to our parties. We live in Seattle or whatever the fuck it is, Forks, Washington. And it's like, why? And her character, she doesn't do anything. She's got a dad who's a cop, which by all logic should make her not invited to parties. And she's clumsy. That's like her one character trait, is that she's clumsy, and she drives an old
psychic, right?
truck. No.
I thought she could read people's minds or see the future.
That's True Blood. That's True Blood.
No. I'm remembering something about vampires.
I only read the first book and a half.
No, her special power was being, and I think I remember this line correctly, Edward Cullen's own personal supply of heroin.
That's bad stuff.
He's all crazy about her because because he can't read her mind.
That's it, yeah.
So he's like, oh, I don't have to hear you thinking about how your ass itches and stuff, and that of course is a huge turn on. I have this theory though that she has huge tits, and like that's just completely left out of the story. Like I have this theory that she's just got like crazy huge boobs, and that's why everyone's just like crazy about her. And in the movie they're like, well, let's just get Kristen Stewart because she wasn't doing she literally was not doing anything. They were like, hey, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, I'm just sitting here.
She's just moping around.
Just biting my lip, staring at the ground. And they were like, "We want to be in a movie about vampire sex." But
This podcast topic would have been great in 2007.
I don't care. It's a
No,
thing
the new
that
Twilight
will die.
movie. If you call this Twilight Breaking Tits or something, you call this episode that, it will do huge numbers, Jim
I
Sterling.
still can't believe my neighbor banged on the wall. She's never done that.
Wow.
Maybe she was
It's
doing it.
not late or anything. So about
It's
that, what do you?
afternoon. But
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
shouting about Dragonpussy and Count Chocula.
It's a good
So
question.
it's not
See, now I want to call the episode Dragonpussy and Count Chocula.
that'll
Count
do it.
Count Chocula's Dragonpussy.
Fuck. What do I say the next time I see her in the hall or something? Like, it's so awkward.
Say hi.
Just say, have you seen the new Twilight film?
God damn
it's
it.
really good.
Just say, would you like to go and see Twilight Dragonpussy with me?
I just need to move. I can't
No,
live here
it's not that
anymore.
She'll
I
forget all.
can't bear it.
She'll
Yeah,
forget.
you are done. He is toast, Jonathan. Don't
You guys
don't
know
even try.
I have to burn the building down now. It's the only way to be sure.
You guys know how good the next Twilight movie is going to be, though, right?
What?
You know how good it's going to be?
I thought we were
Yeah, because
done.
the fucking vampire
No.
baby's gonna break her back, and they're gonna have sex
Yes,
in a
man.
fucking waterfall, and they're gonna go to Brazil for no reason.
From what I understand,
And then they're gonna be like, "Hey, Wolfman, you want to date our baby?" And he's like, "Yeah." I do."
yeah, it's a really good movie, Jim.
Is it going to be a crossover with Herbie the Love Bug?
It's more like a crossover with like Cronenberg's The Fly. It's crazy.
Oh, God, I wish that was true.
It's pretty much is. The psychic vampire baby beats up the woman from inside the womb.
Oh.
She loses her virginity and just immediately gets knocked out, so she doesn't even enjoy it. He just like jumps on her and thrusts so hard it knocks her unconscious, and then I think they do a C-section with their teeth to like get the baby out. It's the only thing that will cut the ribs or
This
something.
sounds like something that should be in Human Centipede too.
Exactly. That's why I'm really excited to see it.
Wow. I am tempted to see that without seeing any of the others, just for like that without context.
It might have just been a huge troll. It's
The
hard
thing
to
that
say.
really fascinates me about Twilight in popular culture, in the same way that I'm fascinated by like Kesha, or like Lady Gaga, is remember 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, when like the Spice Girls and like Britney Spears, they showed their midriffs and it was like edgy.
Sure.
And Britney Spears wore like a schoolgirl outfit, and it was like, oh my god, like, oh shit, what's gonna happen? And that was following 15 years prior, like Madonna being like, oh, I'm wearing a cone bra. Like that's everything. Every generation it gets more and more scandalous, but at the same time it's like more and more almost accepted. We've got Kesha, who literally has a song just called "A Party at a Rich Dude's House," and it's just about like getting drunk and being a slut and stuff. And then you've got Twilight, which is pretty culturally destructive, I think. Like the fact that young women are reading this book and that it will like have an effect on who they like. I watched Beavis and Butthead and played a lot of Duke Nukem 3D, and God knows that affected what I turned into. But there are girls who are like, oh, okay, like here's this really nice werewolf who is nice to me, but I'm going to go with the abusive vampire who just disappears and has serious emotional problems. And I'm going to save myself for marriage, and then we're going to...
I don't know if that's socially destructive more than socially reflective.
It's creepy.
Considering a lot of the relationships that I have witnessed and been around, it's like, I don't know whether that is so much like the bane of society or just the mirror.
Yeah, people wouldn't
Here's
like
the
it
thing,
if they weren't
I
already
feel like-
thinking that way.
I feel like Twilight creates unrealistic expectations for relationships in the same way that Disney movies did when I was a kid. And granted, they were more lighthearted, but like...
I certainly wouldn't applaud the films for perpetuating the attitude, but I wouldn't blame it for the attitude per se, because... I mean, Tara's right as well. It's like, those things, these films are not... not realistic, and they set themselves up as moral guides. Like, you watch a Disney film, that's wholesome, that'll teach you about the world. And it only teaches me that lions know about fucking genetics.
Exactly,
like,
there's that.
if
This
you have
Twilight reads like a fucking live journal or something. Except it's this girl being like, oh yeah, like I got home from school and I'm really obsessed with Edward. He disappeared. Like, I want to die. I literally want to die because he left. I'm gonna like cook dinner for my dad, even though he doesn't talk to me. And it's just like, it's very much like, I mean, I don't usually give a shit about like kind of, like sexist undertones and stuff because I don't really know how to process it. But Twilight's pretty much like, yep, lady should be in the kitchen. Man's got the right to boss her around. That's how it works.
Written by a woman as well.
Yeah, it's weird that out of all the. Yeah.
Sorry, Tara's going to talk.
Yes.
Oh, I was just going to say that I feel like Twilight, I can't really blame the producers because it's a fucking movie about vampires. If you take that shit seriously, it reflects more poorly on you than it does on the creators of the film. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Sure. And there was.
I know it's meant to be like a kind of a dark, whimsical romance story, but like it's about vampires.
Yeah, there was a website. I can't remember the podcast I heard it mentioned on, but it was called My Life is Twilight, and it was about people who basically posted evidence they had found in their own life that proved that they lived the kind of lifestyle that's lived in Twilight. Things like seeing like cream forming the shape of an E in coffee, very much like York Morgan in Deadly Premonition, and saying it is E for Edward. My life is Twilight. And people saying like, oh, I feel the bad auras of people around me. I am basically a vampire, which goes into our old what we did a few episodes ago with those fucking fake vampires who pretend that they feed off energy and that
psychic
sunlight just makes me sad. Like, fuck off. If you are a vampire, you have to act like Christopher Lee. You've got to take that side of it. You can't be like those self-diagnosed Asperger's people who just pick and choose the bits of the illness they like.
We've already been over this.
I know.
Maybe they're all just really depressed from a serious vitamin D deficiency.
I don't know. If anyone ever fucking comes up to me and says I'm an energy vampire, I will go, yeah, well, you know what I am? I am a Dovahkiin and then they will be scared.
The thing is the Twilight movies that I've seen, they're actually they're okay, They're kind of mopey teenager movies.
Really?
They're the worst movies next to the Transformers movies.
Compared to the books. I mean, as far as a movie taking the source material they had, they're actually really good adaptations.
Wow.
I'm saying the source material is garbage. It's fucking garbage.
I've seen little snippets of it, and I have. I actually suggest reading the TV tropes page on it because that really is. It's an interesting read, and it makes me furious as a. I mean, I know I'm not a novelist. I mean, I'm trying to work on one, but I'll never get it done. But just as a writer, it offends me that she exists.
She hasn't read Dracula.
Yeah, well, she hasn't read.
Yeah.
I really hurt my actual anus when I did that last Fuss Rodin. Jonathan Holmes, is that a problem?
I don't know.
I think it's gone down now, but right on the whole of it, right up the gully. It was
Yeah.
Got to be careful with those dragon shouts, guys. With those thooms, they can leave you sore in the morning. I'm really Thoom. It is dragon language for shouts, Jonathan.
Oh, okay.
I know you're not up with what the kids are doing at the moment. It's the thing. It's the latest craze. Dr. Dre has been thooming it up on the popular pop music shows.
I was telling, speaking of the kids, I was telling my friend Andy, you guys know him, he's a video producer, does the videos I do, that it's looking like Modern Warfare 3 is really popular with kids. I've seen so many kids at GameStop and just around talking about it. Whereas the only people I know who like Skyrim, a game about dragons and pies, are adults. That doesn't seem to be very popular with the kids at all. Isn't that weird?
I don't know.
You were shocked.
My 8-year-old. My 8-year-old is he's got no interest in Modern Warfare whatsoever, but he's besotted with Elder Scrolls games. He loves to just watch them, think about them, and I know it's got an adult rating on it, but they're not so bad. So I let him sort of play around. He plays on usually just plays the first 5 minutes. He's more interested in. He loves character creation and stuff, so he'll just spend ages making a little character and then get bored and start again. But yeah, I mean, he loves that kind of stuff. He's, I mean, kids seem to fall into the category of those who love guns and those who love swords, and he is very much in the sword category.
I think that like Elder Scrolls is it's a big game. It takes some patience. You got to listen to people talking about stuff, and you got to walk around and do stuff. It's kind of a big, like long-term sort of game. Modern Warfare seems like very much a short attention span kind of thing by comparison.
It's something you can easily dive into. I say this as someone, I love Modern Warfare. I fucking love Skyrim. So I feel like I can sort of speak for both sides. But Modern Warfare is, again, I think it comes down to that thing of what do young males like? Guns and swords. It's that kind of thing. Most young males will fall on one side or the other. So I guess that's what it is, and we're just seeing a lot of gun-friendly children at the moment.
Right, and of course the marketing and the hype, kids are going to buy into that, whereas
yeah.
Skyrim's been marketed, but not marketed in Modern Warfare.
Skyrim appeals to those, the D&D crowd, the Games Workshop crowd, the men with beards. It's that kind of thing. It's a beardy game.
Sure.
And I say that with all the love in the world, obviously.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with having a beard. Have you ever grown a beard, Jim?
I can't. My facial features are smooth and soft, like that of a fawn's, and like that of a young cherub. And it really irritates. It upsets my face to have a beard. I've got a bit of a stubble on at the moment, and it upsets my face. Gets really itchy and bad. Plus, I look like Bluto when I do it. And so I have to grab the first rake-thin woman I see and chuck her in a box and go, whoa, ho, ho, ho! Come here,
I was thinking about Harvey Fierstein. We'll talk about that later. But about that, what's that game? The third? Saints Row the Third?
Saints Row the Third.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to hear what Max wanted to say about his feelings on that game.
I really like the game. I think it's a really fun game, and I really appreciate it. However, coming at it from of the perspective of someone who's played Saints Row 2, I think Jim fucking called it, because there was this post about a month back, I think, where THQ announced that they were going to have 40 weeks of DLC available for the game, and that they really wanted to have this to be a continuing experience.
Yeah. It's a buzzword in the industry. Games are now services.
Yeah, and I'm kind of feeling like letting it settle in a little bit. That's kind of how it feels. Like it felt short. And looking at the DLC they have available, it's like mission packs, and the DLC for Saints Row 2 was pretty much just costumes and like
They had some expansions, but they came quite a bit after the fact.
Yeah,
how's that spread out though? Is it like every week or every month?
40 weeks, once a week, I think. Yeah.
You do that in a year, that's quite... And I imagine it will just be a year, because then obviously they're going to have to gear up for Saints Row. Saints Row goes forth. So, I don't know, it is... that was a good Blackadder reference, by the way, if anyone didn't catch that, which is all of you. That was that was a top quality... but that is my feeling, because as I said in my review, for those who... didn't read it. I gave it a 7 out of 10, and like I said, it took me well over 2 weeks to beat Saints Row 2, and I was still wanting to go back into Stillwater and do more. I cleared Saints Row the Third in less than 2 days and had no desire to go back. And it was just the differences there. And yeah, I've got this feeling a guy at Volition who was very courteous. In fact, all the guys at Volition were really nice about the review. But one guy said, oh, well, we haven't actually started work on DLC until, this past week. And I'm like, that still doesn't mean you didn't hold the content back. Just because you are holding on to the content and developing it now, that doesn't mean you weren't developing the game with the mind to hold that shit back for later.
Yeah. And the thing is THQ's been pushing that hybrid pricing model where they're like, oh yeah, you get a $40 game, and then there's $40 worth of DLC down the road.
Except, of course, it wasn't a $40 game.
Exactly. The thing is, though, I was going in with the expectations of Saints Row 2, and I feel like if this had been like the first game in a franchise, we probably would have been a lot more forgiving with it.
That's what THQ. I was talking to a guy about it, and he's like, he was interested to see whether the reaction is better among those who didn't play Saints Row 2. But of course, it's like I don't know if that justifies it in any way, because obviously when you're in the third game in a series, that's when your spine is going to be made up of fans.
Yeah.
Like the spine of your sales.
No, not at all. Not at all. Compare GTA 3 to GTA 2.
Well, if you reinvent, then that's another thing. But if it's on the same hardware,
it's the same
if
generation,
the same
same engine. I mean,
yeah.
Modern Warfare 3's fan base, I'm assuming the vast majority played Modern Warfare 2. Obviously, there's going to be new fans. Every sequel gets bigger. But what I mean when I say the spine, I mean, the running base that you build up of is going to be those hardcore guys that have played the other stuff. And Saints Row 2 was such an improvement over the first Saints Row that I don't think there's really an excuse to have a game that feels smaller, both in terms of size, gameplay, and narrative and thematics, than Saints Row 2. It's like, yeah, they've got these new weapons, they're more extreme and wacky than ever, but when you put those wackier weapons into an environment that feels so much more sterile and lifeless, you get a game that's more tame. Like, Saints Row the Third is not the most outrageous game ever made. Saints Row 2 is still more outrageous, because you had a character who was just this terrifyingly childish psychopath who was doing some unbelievably irredeemable things, and it was a fascinating game in that sense, and it was way more shocking and way more out there and unbelievable than the stuff in Saints Row the Third, which is more just like a cartoon, which is fine, but it's certainly like they're building up this, oh yeah, we went there, oh, it really is this crazy, and it's like, it really isn't.
I feel like Saints Row 3 is easier to jump into if you're new to the series than Saints Row 2, because I couldn't get into Saints Row 2 at all, and I noticed that people I know who weren't into Saints Row 2 enjoyed Saints Row 3 way more than people who were really into Saints Row 2.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that. What I loved was just the amount of customization and the different options and the kind of the scale of Saints Row 2, but the third it's pretty streamlined. It's pretty much like, you want to go kill some shit? Like, here you go do it.
Yeah.
I didn't really like the mini games in Saints Row 2.
Yeah,
that's the point I brought up, though. It's like, they certainly streamlined it, but once you streamline an open world game, you start to realize just how little content is actually there. It kind of exposes the fact that the backbone, there's not a lot meat on it. That wasn't even a good sentence. Not a lot meat on game.
I liked it.
It just, like I said, it was more streamlined, but it didn't feel like more of an experience. Also, and this is probably going to be a bit of a spoiler, so warning ahead, fuck whoever thought, I know, we will introduce really interesting characters like Matt Miller for the Deckers and have him turn up and go, hello, I am a bad guy. Oh, I am going away now, bye. And it's like, you introduce these set up villains and they fuck off really quick. Like, one of the best things about Saints Row 2 was they introduced these characters, and then you got to see how they slowly got driven to the edge of madness and utter devastation by the player's actions. In this one, it's like characters turn up, then get tossed aside straight away, and it's all leading up to having them totally sidelined so they can introduce this incredibly generic military organization, which I really didn't appreciate at all, because that's... It took all the bite out of the game's otherwise outrageous activities, because the game was so generic. Like, you just had... I mean, we talked about Modern Warfare, and it was like, you've got these generic Modern Warfare-style military enemies.
I wonder if the DLC will bring those villains back, and if that's what they're hoping people will bother to pay for the DLC for.
How it felt like to me was, I feel like they looked at what they had done. I mean, this is total speculation here. This is by no means valid at all, but I feel like Volition probably looked at what they had, and they were like, okay, we've got a lot of stuff here. What if we took the end of that stuff and kind of squished it, or like they kind of condensed some of it and took out parts and they saved them for later?
Right.
Like maybe missions.
The middle is going to be the DLC.
Yeah, kind of. And it's like, it's one of those things where, like, yeah, they kill off some characters leave. I'm willing to forgive them if they just bring them back and like, oh yeah, here we go, he's a cyborg, or oh, he comes back as a ghost. Like, that's the kind of thing that could totally work in this context, or just coming back out of the blue, like, oh, I was just over there. There's a part in the game where you go into virtual reality and you get turned into a toilet.
That sounds pretty good.
It's pretty cool. You're just hobbling along as a toilet. You're like, why am I a toilet? And your hacker friend is like, I couldn't figure out how to make your avatar. and then you get turned into
Sounds
a
like
blog.
it has all right, sure.
Oh,
that too.
when it wants to be, the game is incredible. The game is absolutely incredible. In fact, it's so incredible, it made me buy a Kanye West song.
Whoa, what
You
song
buy
is that?
power?
No one man should have all that power.
My
Oh God.
You can kiss my whole ass.
Dad, Dad,
Kiss
you're
my ass.
embarrassing us.
Oh, I Kanye West. Everybody watch me rap.
That song has been in a lot of video games lately. It was in the Forza Motorsport 4 trailer a while back.
Kanye West made a killing off the game industry the
Yeah.
past 2 years.
Yeah, that was
He was used in Crysis 2. They did I don't know what the song was called, but it was that one that New York in it. And that mashup he did with Daft Punk was used in some SingStar style game.
I think that New York song was Jay-Z.
Was it?
Yeah, Jay-Z and
Kanye
Alicia
was
Keys.
on it though.
Oh,
He might have produced it or something.
Run this town. But yeah, that was. It makes me think of the Prodigy's "Invaders Must Die," which was in like the Scott Pilgrim trailer, and then the Duke Nukem Forever trailer, and I saw it in something else too. That was like last year, and I think it's funny that game companies are like, "Oh, we're making a trailer. Let's use this song that another trailer
How's that go again?
has in it."
Is it like
Huh?
Is that one?
That's the one. Exactly.
Yeah, it's an alright song, I guess.
Yeah. But
It was hot. So.
again, I've been saying this for a while. It's like Kanye West doesn't really make music that I would listen to casually. I mean, he's no Sparks, but he makes terrific music to be set to things.
Yeah.
Like his music is great at building an atmosphere, and that's a pretty decent. The man's an utter arse.
He used to be like a decent rapper actually on College Dropout, and after that it just went totally downhill. It was like his first mainstream album.
I think it takes talent to make music that's that's really good at being evocative enough to be set to something. So I'll give him credit for that. Like the Power stuff worked really well, and even that fucking SingStar or DJ Hero, whatever it was, advert. Like the sound, the music made it sound a lot more epic than it was. Considering what the game was, just a fucking karaoke thing. So yeah, I mean the guy's got talent in that department, but yeah. So anyway, I actually really dug that song. I thought it was a nice little tune. So it's
you were saying before about the I fell asleep.
What the hell was what's that bit at the end? What's that? Suddenly went red.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. La gamme of delicious.
I'm really sleepy. I slept for like an hour, I think, last night. Did you guys want to talk about how this year is the year of 3 games and how the expectations for the third game in a series, we were talking about it with Saints Row the Third a little bit, how the expectations for the third game in a series, especially if it's in the same console generation, it really does a number on these games, I think. Uncharted 3, I'm hearing more and more people talk about how disappointed they were with that. Of course, Jim liked Gears of War 2 a lot more than Gears of War 3. It's a lot of that across the board. Of course, there's the Modern Warfare 3 freak out. I wonder if that's really fair for people to have that expectation.
The tricky thing is the choice between reinvention and reiteration. Are you going to fine tune it, or are you going to fucking kick it up a notch?
Most games wait till about the 4th game to they do a trilogy of games, and then when it comes time for the 4th one, then they reinvent. I mean, Resident Evil did this, and some others probably. I'm sure I could find clever examples. And I know Gears of War 3, I know that was considered the end of the trilogy. Halo 3 was considered the end of that particular arc, and then they did Reach and all this other. So it seems
they did ODST, which people really frowned on. I think in a way that was kind of the real... it's that going in the same console generation and not advancing enough, which is often what you see in the third game.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, the first game is like an experiment. They didn't spend a lot of money on it because they weren't sure if it was going to be successful. Oh, then it's a big success. So you make the sequel and you put all this money into it and all this marketing. Oh my God, it's everything I got in the first game except so much more. Then the third one comes along and it's like, oh.
We're in a unique situation as well where we've had many instances of 3 games coming out in one generation.
Yeah.
It's like Metal Gear Solid 1, for instance, was on the PS1, then we had Metal Gear Solid 2 and Snake Eater on the PS2, and then Metal Gear Solid 4 on the PS3, so it's like it was spread out over consoles, so there were a lot more dramatic leaps. Same goes for, Resident Evil 4 came out on the PS2 and GameCube and what have you, so that was more dramatic, and that possibly helped in certain areas.
A huge amount. I'm not sure how that game would have done if it was on the PS1. People just wouldn't have judged.
And Silent Hill 1 we had on the PS1, then Silent Hill 2 on the PS2, huge graphical leap, everyone went mad. Silent Hill 3, very well received, still very well regarded. Then Silent Hill 4 came along, same generation, not so well received, of course.
Third game in the same generation, I think, is cursed.
I wouldn't go as far as to say it's inherently cursed, but it's definitely the biggest risk if you're not going to reinvent the whole thing. And of course, especially this generation where people are afraid to take risks, you're not going to see a lot of reinvention. So it's been, just this year in particular has been almost a self-parody of the industry, Like, it's making fun of itself when you have so many 3s. I saw a fucking... I was at Best Buy last night, and I saw a poster for triple midnight launch of Saints Row the Third, Halo Anniversary, and Assassin's Creed Revelation. It's like 2 3-quels and a remake.
Yeah,
all in this midnight launch in one day.
That's still the 3rd Halo game on the Xbox 360, isn't it? Halo Anniversary. It was Halo 3. Oh no, crap! It's the 4th already.
The 4th.
Jesus, man.
But it's like that's where we are. An HD remake and 2 3-quels like on the same midnight launch.
Right.
And that was after fucking Skyrim and Modern Warfare, Battlefield, Uncharted, just all this shit that's come out. We still got Skyward Sword to be released.
That's this weekend, right?
And all of that, all in the middle of that, we have Rayman Origins. So fucking
Rayman.
I hope that game didn't cost a lot to make, and I honestly don't think it did. Even though it looks beautiful, the animation is it's kind of that Flash style animation where they didn't have to redraw a lot of the frames, and the backgrounds are beautiful. But you get one talented.
I'm sure it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't as big a financial risk as some of the games out there. I'm sure.
Yeah, if that sells $500,000, yep.
Sorry, I was just gonna say I gotta run. I can't believe it's been an hour already, but yeah, I gotta go check out some Activision iOS game.
It's not that prototype one, is it?
I don't know. They didn't say.
Oh God.
I hope not, but we'll see. Anyway, see you guys next week.
Bye.
Hi, Tara. It's too bad. I wanted to talk with Tara about Capgras syndrome. You guys know about Capgras syndrome?
No.
Let's talk about it. Capgras syndrome is usually it is a symptom of having a thought disorder, but it can happen for a lot of different reasons. Thought disorders are like schizophrenia, that sort of thing. In Capgras syndrome, the feeling that the person is supposed to have when they recognize a family member or a loved one isn't there. Those chemicals don't fire.
Oh, I think I've heard about that. Like, is that similar to being unable to recognize faces and stuff?
It's similar, but it's a little different. That's more of an aphasia. This is, and it's also got to do with your brain not working right. Like if you fell out of love with your wife, let's say, Jim, and those chemicals stopped firing, you'd be like, oh, I don't love my wife anymore. Should I get a divorce? I'll probably just hang in there. Maybe it'll come back, whatever. But if you had a thought disorder, you'd be like, you know why I don't love my wife anymore? She's a robot. They replaced my wife last night with a robot clone.
Oh, this sounds fucking brilliant.
What am I going to do about this?
This sounds like an exciting life to have.
I've always wanted to be Rowdy Roddy Piper. Put on the sunglasses or start eating that trash can.
What does that have to do with Capgras wanting to be Rowdy?
Aliens everywhere, all around.
Oh, yeah, it is kind of like they live.
Everyone's aliens.
Sometimes it's robots, sometimes it's aliens.
Wow!
But they
is it exciting for them?
They're pretty pissed off. They're pissed off at the people who they think are the replacements, be they aliens, clones, robots, whatever. And the way to deal with it, generally speaking, is to call them up on the phone. And if they have a cell phone, you talk to them, and they'll get the feeling from the sound of your voice. So you're talking to them on the phone, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is my brother for real." And then you walk up to them while you're still talking to them on the phone and say, "Hi, it's me." And that segue can get them to get over the delusion a little bit. And of course, medications tend to help. I'm not just ranting about psych symptoms because I'm want to talk about psych symptoms. But I'm talking about it because I feel like the third game in the series often invokes a sort of Capgras for people. They want to get that old feeling back.
Sorry,
Yeah.
but they don't.
Are you saying
Cap
grass?
Cap grass, like a little cap you put on, and then grass, like, oh, let's go mow the lawn.
Why is it called that?
I think a dude named Capgras came up with it.
Oh, that's
I was
boring.
thinking cat grass, which is that grass you get for the cat to eat for their digestion.
I should buy some cat grass, and then get Capgras and think my cat is an evil clone. Anyway, third game in the series, people want that feeling back. They don't get it because the scale of the game is not much bigger than before, so they don't get that big explosive feeling or that feeling of newness or that feeling of surprise, or they make changes that are just a little bit off, so it's like that's not quite, you get that kind of, how the uncanny valley psychology is, that if you're just a little bit off from looking like a human, you're like disgusting, as opposed to if you look like Wall-E or some totally abstract representation of a face, you'd be fine. Yeah, I think that's what happens with the threes in these games, and people buy them and they are hyped for them and they're all excited. It's Uncharted 3 I keep thinking of. Like every day someone new tells me, "Oh Jesus, I hated that game. I was so disappointed." Even though on paper it's everything people wanted in an Uncharted sequel, but it's just a little bit wrong for them, and therefore it's like a disaster, and they can't stand the game. They think it's an evil clone. Yeah.
High expectations will do that to you. It's kind of
expectations too. But the thing is, if the third game in the series doesn't really blow it out of the water, then it doesn't really have any purpose to exist at that point. I mean, you're better off buying the second game in the series for cheap.
Well, I mean, the problem with that is the sequel usually, like the first game in a series usually establishes everything. Establishes everything and lets you know that, hey, you're at the beginning of an awesome series, my friend. Right. And you have a great time. It's all awesome. The sequel's job is obviously to take the foundation and then just blow it up. And they put every weird and wacky idea in there. They put all the ideas that they weren't brave enough to put in the first one because, hey, they're huge guys now. So they put all that interesting stuff in there. The third one, they usually already peaked, so they've got nowhere higher to go. So they just do it again. And
it's true. What are you going to do in the third one?
Yeah, it's like Gears of War 2. I hated 2, and Gears of War 3 was basically that, but not even on as big a scale in some areas because they'd already done the big stuff, and no matter how explosive they made it, it was like, I've seen these explosions, and it was still a great game, but it just wasn't, it didn't have the same spark with me that the first one did, and even though Cliffy B went on to say, I know it's scientifically a better game, it's like, sure, scientifically it may be, but we're not reviewing these things as scientific products. We review them as, in a variety of ways, but I certainly review them as pieces of art and pieces of entertainment that mean something to me.
Sure. And they exist in a context. I mean, you can't ignore the fact that it is called Gears of War 3, which and
I would hope Cliff B would rather us, review his fucking work as a piece of art rather than a cold piece of code. And so that's why it's like contextually and as a fan of the series, it's like a more refined game doesn't make a more refined game doesn't make a better experience.
Right, especially when your expectations are rightfully set pretty high. Yeah, as they should be. I liked Resident Evil 3 though. I felt like that one got a bad rap. You ever play that one?
Stars.
Yeah, I think they did that right, and yet that didn't sell half as well as Resident Evil 2. I don't think. Yeah. Oh, sad.
It's one of those games where at the time I don't think it was that respected, but looking back, people have a lot more fond memories for it. I know Nemesis in particular is considered now one of the best sort of villains in a game.
Oh, good. That's good to hear. Yeah, I like him in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Yeah, he's a charmer. And Super Mario 3D Land. Do you think that, Jim? Do you feel like your expectations about Mario kind of impacted your perception of that game? Because you couldn't.
Really, because I don't actually have. My feelings toward Mario have always been neutral.
Mhm.
Not, I mean, I love it. I love his games when I love them, and then when I don't, I'm kind of very ambivalent, very, very sort of meh towards them.
Right.
So I don't really have that kind of bias either way with Mario.
Which ones do you like, just out of curiosity?
I like Mario Galaxy. I
Okay.
like that other one.
Mario
I like
3?
Mario. I love Mario 3. Although I think I mentioned on Podtoid I've got a weird history with it.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I love the Superstar games in particular. So I like sort of throughout different periods of history. Not so much a fan of Mario 64.
Right.
Mario
Mario Sunshine,
World is a
probably.
game. Super Mario World is a game that's like, I don't know. It's like it's okay, but I'm not one of those people that are really gaga over it. So it's like when I review or when I play a Mario game, it's like I go in there thinking I will either really like this or not, or at least understand that it's a good game. Like I can never say that a Mario game is badly crafted, but it's certainly nothing I've ever had a real strong emotional attachment to, and I think that helps me because when a Mario game is good, it comes to me as a genuine sort of revelation and a surprise.
Absolutely.
Mario 3D Land. I hesitate to even say problem because it is a very good game and I gave it a great score. Obviously, I didn't give it the 9s and 10s that I think some people thought it was going to get by divine right. My only real issue with it was just that it felt more like a whirlwind tour of what Mario can do on the 3DS rather than really... Like, it introduced a lot of concepts and didn't really develop any of them. So in a way, it felt more like the beginning rather than like a Gears of War 3 or a Battlefield 3. It didn't feel like, oh, I've seen all this shit before. It was more like a fresh beginning, but not
Right.
a very in-depth
Full one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm really enjoying it so far, but I've only had a chance to play it for like 20 minutes. And I'm glad you set my expectations low. I wouldn't disagree with your score, but I thought by Mario standards it might be not quite as good, but so far I'm really loving it.
Yeah, it's a great game. I mean, it's the level design in particular is beautiful.
Yeah,
There's some
really
really
evocative.
beautiful
Good times.
artistic stuff.
You know what game probably is going to be really, really, really good?
What's that?
Is
Dynasty Warrior 7 Extreme Legends out in stores today.
Mario and Sonic at the London 2012
Oh, God.
Olympics.
I was just reading a review of that while I was pooping.
I am so angry about that game. Did you say pooping?
I had to poop, Max, and I had a magazine in there, and I was reading the review while the poop happened.
That's a weird thing to think about, Holmes.
I'm just letting you know.
I didn't
Sometimes
think you pooped. I figured you just laid eggs and baby birds came out and flew away or something. I figured you just said you had like baby animals like Dr. Robotnik's robots or something.
I love,
Just thank you, and went away.
that makes me think about how awesome Yoshi is. Yoshi eats a guy, but doesn't poop. He just lays a cute little egg, like you said. And he'll eat fruit and vomit it in Super Mario Sunshine, but it's just like cute vomit. Like, oh, he's just hosing him down with the juice. But it's like projectile vomiting in that game, non-stop with Yoshi. And it's just considered fine. I don't know how he gets away with his biological functions being so sweet. Anyway, what were you were gonna talk about Sonic at the Olympics?
I hate that game so much. Like that game sums up everything that makes me angry about Nintendo. Like I didn't realize it until
It was a Sega developed game though.
Yeah, blame Sega.
I don't care. Wait, Sega
Facts.
No, Sega makes some some bullshit now and then. They're like, oh yeah, well, here's the thing, and that's fine. They also make good stuff. The same goes for Nintendo. Hold on, fucking buzzer! God damn it! Stop! What do you want?
I thought it was the neighbor again.
That is the neighbor buzzing to tell him to shut the fuck up, or just punch him in the balls.
Okay. Anyway, I hope that's gonna be like vodka or something from the Serious Sam people. I don't know what the fuck that is. Anyway,
They better be sending me vodka if they're sending you fucking vodka. Where's my fucking Serious Sam fucking vodka?
vodka. How come?
This could seriously impact the review score here. I don't even really drink vodka. I don't want vodka.
Anyway,
still polishing off the Saints Row Scotch.
Whoa.
Scotch.
Didn't know that existed.
It's nice stuff. It's
Johnny
basically,
Gat
it's just like, was it Johnny Black or whatever it's called? They put
Johnny Walker
Gat,
Black label.
Johnny Walker, and they put Johnny Gat over like a label over it. It's good. I got a bit drunk and played Snake Eater Friday night. It was a good night.
I love Snake Eater a lot. I'm going to play it on 3DS.
Sorry, but
yeah.
the thing I was saying before the giant bee came into my house and made a noise. Nintendo they're so weird about their shit. They're like, oh, it's a Nintendo thing. They don't really, they don't do third party stuff. They don't really license out their crap that often.
No, that's true.
They're pretty careful about it. But then they're like, oh, a game where our beloved characters go in the Olympics with Sonic the Hedgehog. Like, I'm just so mad about that because that's such a pile of shit. Like, what bet did they lose? Like, what contract did they drunkenly sign without realizing there was a little footnote that said you have to make this piece of shit? Which, oh, by the way, they couldn't even say it's like, oh, it's Sonic and Mario Olympic. Like they have a title that is just a description.
Yeah, it's a concept that they've delivered to you.
They didn't even have time to think up a fucking name.
And the worst thing is about that is that the idea of Mario and Sonic teaming up in a video game was once like a brilliant idea. It was like, oh my god, imagine the adventure. Yeah. Imagine Bowser and Robotnik joining forces to take over Mobius and the Mushroom Kingdom together. And have Mario run along loop-de-loops and have Sonic jump on Turtles' heads. It will be the best game ever. And that idea has been forever kind of taken away because now it won't be remarkable to have Mario and Sonic in a game together because they've already been in several games together. And we'll never have that sudden shock that, Reggie Fils-Aimé going up at E3 saying Mario and Sonic together! And then
they don't make things that I want. I keep thinking about when they put out that Pokemon game on iOS, and their stock just jumped up suddenly, and everyone was like, "Holy shit! Nintendo's making an iOS game with Pokemon! It's official! Like, holy crap!" And they were like, "Oh no, that's just a one-time thing."
Oh, look, it's just a picture of a Pikachu.
Like what? Well. Yeah. What are they? I don't get it. I don't get it at all. It's like it makes me angry, because I have to do illegal things. I have to I don't have to, but I do it because I want to play Super Metroid, but I also want Nintendo to go fuck themselves. So I'm just going to download it on my computer and fucking play it. Because
you could buy it on the Virtual Console. It's pretty fun on there.
Yeah, no.
Well, cool. Here is the crux of it, Max Scoville. That so many people.
How much is it on Virtual Console? It's like $10 or something.
No, $8. $8.
$8.
Worth it.
It's $8. It's a good game, but I'm not seeing that money going towards anything that is cool. Like somehow just buying that for I'm one of the enemies right now. I'm one of the bad kids who's saying this, but I'm just look at they're like, oh yeah, like let's make a fucking extra thumbstick for the 3DS, or oh hey, let's fucking let's have fucking Luigi ride a horse in the Olympics in London in 2012. That's a thing.
Sega made that.
I don't care. They were like,
here's
Nintendo
the crux.
Was like, go ahead.
Yeah, well, they're nice to
that
Sega.
That game came out 16 years ago.
It's really Metroid. Good. Yeah, it's worth $8.
You know what would be worth? You know what would be worth $1? It'd be worth $1 if they took Super Mario Brothers, the original, and they released it officially on iOS, and they said, "Here's this," and they released it.
Yeah, they could do that if they wanted to support.
We talked about this before. I'm sorry, Nintendo has repeatedly said that they don't view Apple as a competitor. That's what they've said. I don't care whether they believe it or not. That's what they've said. This whole idea, though, this whole fucking they are competitors, we must never, quote-unquote, support them idea is fucking bullshit. There is nothing stopping them from putting, an actual Pokemon game. Like, it doesn't even have to be one of the main entries in the series. It could still be a spin-off, but it could still be a substantial game. And Nintendo would make mad fucking bank doing that. But because
The original
there's
Mario.
this... Yeah, but because there's this myopic and blinkered idea that, no, they are the competitor. Everything must be on our home turf. We must never bow to the enemy. Oh, hurry-cuddy. Right? That was racist.
It's true, though. It's true.
I say that, I bet Microsoft would do it as well. They would be like, something Japanese. That balances it out and everything's okay. American apple pie, we will never surrender. That's what Microsoft is. But because they've just got... It's so myopic and it's so close-minded that the idea that you can't, quote-unquote, support the competition... I'm sorry, but when you're a company and your sole goal is to make money and there is a huge fat wad of easy money just sitting there, you've kind of failed as a business if you're not going to take it.
Yeah.
Well,
it's like when a little kid, is like, oh, I want to sit in that chair. I want to sit in that chair. Sit in that chair right there, and all the kids are like, but I want to sit in that chair too. And he's like, no, I want to sit in this chair. I've been sitting in this chair. And he sits in that chair. And then he kind of looks around like he doesn't maybe really want to sit there that much, and he's just kind of sitting there because the other kids want it,
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not saying they have to put, like, Pokemon Black on the iOS or a brand new, full-fledged Pokemon, but at least a substantial game with the Pokemon name. And like you said, I mean, the stock skyrocketed until we found out it was just, it is just... Reggie Fils-Aimé dresses up his dick as various Pokemon, and you have to guess what the Pokemon is. And if you select hard difficulty, his cock will be flaccid, so it'll be even harder to tell. And I don't know if that's the game, it might be, but it just seems like they're cutting their nose off to spite their face. And I say that about all of them. Like, there's nothing stopping Sony and Microsoft from being more supportive of iOS, but it's got to be proprietary. It's like, we've got to have the PlayStation Suite, but it must be on Sony Ericsson phones, because that's going to sell really well to gamers. It's just, no.
Yeah,
I think not, sir.
Well, they're thinking long haul, as you know. They don't want to...
So am I, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't think they think long haul. I think they think short term. I think these publishers always do. This is why, they fight used games and everything, because they don't see the long plan. It's all, how do we get money for us now, please? It's and they think, we must sell all of the 3DSs in the world and we can't dare support a mobile platform because people won't buy the 3DS. It's like, dude, people who want a 3DS will buy a 3DS. People who don't want a 3DS won't buy a 3DS. Yeah. They might have an iOS platform, put something on there, make fat cash. Get some of that sweet, sweet gorgonzola.
It's so... Like, the idea of selling things to people is that you're selling things that they want to buy. Like,
yes.
If you want people to buy things, make them want to buy those things. Make a thing that they want. It's pretty straightforward, as opposed to just like phoning it in and being like, well, you have to buy it from us if you do in fact want it. There you go.
Nintendo's problem altogether. It's like, Iwata can sit there and do what he usually does best, which is come up with huge, extravagant displays of humility and say, we recognize that the 3DS didn't have any games at launch and we must do better. They won't do better in the future. He'll keep saying it. But he's like, we must do better. I recognize the problem. We didn't have any games. And I just sat there and thought, well... I think I said this on Podtoid as well. Like, I can't imagine how they struggled to come up with games. I mean, it's... Actually, no, it must have been a struggle because they didn't have any digital distribution platforms to support or anything. Oh, wait, yes, they did. And they didn't do it. And it's like, they've got stuff and they won't... They think they can make money by not selling things. That seems to be the thing. It's like Nintendo of America posting the biggest losses of all of Nintendo's territories. And it's like, if only you had some games to sell. Oh, wait, you did. And you didn't. Reggie, what do you think of me? You didn't sell any games, did you? No, you didn't. No.
Can you
I imagine Reggie talking to, like, Japanese Nintendo, and he's like, what's his face Zurg in The Fifth Element, and Nintendo is just this big glowing orb thing, and Reggie's like, well, yeah, okay, we could do that, and then shit starts leaking out of his
funny
forehead.
black boy will come in. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like,
Who's funny black boy? Whoa, what are you guys doing, man? That guy.
Funny black boy, did you call him?
Yeah, I thought you called him funny black boy.
No, I said the funny
oil.
black oil coming down.
Oh, I thought you said funny black boy from the Fifth Element.
That would have been.
What are you guys doing, man?
That would have been incredibly racist.
Oh no, it's fine.
That's all right. We can just pretend you are black for now. No one will tell.
I probably am black.
And that's it. It's like you can be anything. You are like Michelle Rodriguez or someone. It's like we can cast you in these things. We can cast you as any ethnicity without upsetting the white man, which is what your Hollywood's dream.
We need a super smart. We need a super smart Irish girl who is also a stripper. Where's Jessica Alba?
Exactly. You'll find
we need the blonde housewifey character of Susan Storm. Where's Jessica Alba?
We need Machete's hot Mexican girlfriend, Jessica Alba. Yeah, it's a good movie.
Jonathan Holmes, you are Jessica Alba, basically.
Thanks. That's what I was going for.
What a thrill!
Oh, that's a good song.
Yeah,
I've
just been doing that all weekend. What a thrill!
I love the part where she announces that you're so supreme as well.
Oh yeah, you're so supreme. And the best lyric is "Someday you might feed on a tree frog."
Yeah, I've thought about that for years.
Fucking right, you might.
I think I got the internet just to download
One day
that.
I might feed on you. Problem. How's it taste? I've just picked up a crab.
I was so disappointed when I got Metal Gear Solid 4 and you couldn't throw up. I was like, that was like that game was disappointing to me in a lot of ways. I like it, but it doesn't beat Metal Gear Solid 3 in any way.
There is a way to make Snake throw up in the Metal Gear Solid.
It's not the same way.
You have to kill a bunch of people.
And then you have the drama level go up, and you're like, I'm depressed.
You get to if you kill over 20 people, Liquid Snake turns up. Just flashes. You get this flash on the screen. He's like, "You enjoy all the killing." Really? Awesome. Yeah. I got whistles because I was disappointed that by that time they just got Patrick Zimmerman Patrick something to do Liquid Ocelot, because I love Cam Clark and everything he does, and I wanted to hear some campy brother, but they didn't have it in Metal Gear Solid 4.
Maybe Metal Gear Solid 5, yeah. I was going to say a bunch of stuff about Nintendo, but forget it. It's all right. It's all right. Let's move on. No, it's fine.
Is it nice stuff about Nintendo?
It is a slightly different perspective.
Oh, God.
Respectful of yours and yours. But, you're not feeling it. We've kind of said our pieces. You guys have, and I'll keep my piece for next time.
You know what was a good Metal Gear game?
Tell me about it.
Metal Gear for the Nintendo.
I loved it.
I just broke a segue. That wasn't a segue. That was trying to connect two topics of conversation after.
Oh, you did do that. You drew the line there. That's perfect.
I meant to say, it's a good Nintendo game, Metal Gear, but then I just said, it's a good Metal Gear game. I'm sorry.
Metal Gear is.
I wanted to say that I love the I always consider myself a Metal Gear fan because I love the story, but I haven't. The last one I played was 2, as far as straight through playing, just because I haven't had access to them. So I'm gonna be picking up the HD collection at some point. Probably not right now because they're older games, and there are new games that I'd like to play so that I'm up to date with things.
Konami fucked up.
Yeah, they did.
Konami fucked up. It's they released it on the same day as fucking Modern Warfare 3. I haven't seen a copy in stores. I had to get, they found a copy that I pre-ordered in the back somewhere and had to search for 20 minutes for it. I asked for the limited edition. Remember, I live near Jackson, Mississippi. The closest limited edition they had available was in Virginia.
Wow.
They had one other copy in Mississippi for the PS3 in another Mississippi store already reserved by someone. I've seen hide nor hair of a limited edition since. I've had people all over Twitter telling me they can't find a copy anywhere, no matter where they live. They fucked this up so hard.
Oh,
I got my
weird.
review copy as well the day after I bought it in the shop.
Oh, they sent you one?
Yeah, eventually. I sent it to Conrad because he has been reviewing lots of Kinect games for me and deserved a fucking break. It's just wow. Konami, and I'm going to be quite frank here, Konami's PR is in the US is not good at all. Like, they are still stuck. Like, I've dealt with some bad PR, but nearly all of it back in 2007. And most of them have gotten really good over the years with the more they deal with outlets and the more they deal with us as well. But Konami, they seem so stuck. They still seem stuck in the mess of a few years back, and just the way that Metal Gear Solid was handled. It's like, dude, that is your biggest fucking franchise, like, at least as far as outside of the Dance Revolution, all that kind of shit. It's like, as far as like core, quote unquote, things go, that is the best you've got. And it's certainly the series that hasn't been fucked in the arse the most. Silent Hill. It's like, the least you could do is treat it properly. Like, at least hold it off till a quieter period. But releasing it on the same day as Modern Warfare 3, it's like, here, have these several years old games.
That was stupid. What I wanted to say, though, is I call myself a Metal Gear Solid fan, but when I think about it, really what I say is I like being a man who can be either invisible or in a box in the armory level from the first one with the trapdoors, because that's like my favorite game in life, is that one room in Metal Gear Solid where you can just lead the guards into the trapdoors, or you can just throw them, or you can be invisible. It's not a game. It's just one little room where I played a lot with my stealth suit and my cardboard boxes.
Yeah, I at first I was really against Metal Gear Solid because I didn't want all that talking in my video games. Of course, it grew on me, but at first I was like, eh. But after I started thinking of it as the new Pac-Man, I really got into it. It's like, oh, it's just Pac-Man running around. Get that guy before he gets you. Oh, you got the jump on him. Yeah.
That's actually an interesting way to look at it.
For someone who grew up on Pac-Man,
yeah,
it helped me throw a better lens on it. Changed my expectations, if you will.
For many years, I hated playing them, but I had to play them to get to the experience. Sure. It was a weird thing. It's like, I get it now, but for a while, like, just stealth as a genre, I considered it a completely broken genre, because I didn't think AI, and I still don't think in many ways, like, computer AI is advanced enough to accurately make stealth work as a game concept.
The best Metal Gear game was the demo disc that came with Zone of the Enders for Metal Gear Solid 2. It was just the boat part for Metal Gear Solid 2. That was the best Metal Gear game, and I will stand by that. I would buy that in its own box, that one demo disc.
I want to know what you guys think. I reviewed Peace Walker a few years ago, and people got really mad at me, and I felt bad about it. I thought maybe they were right, that I was wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
It's been a while. What did you say about it?
Well, one of the things I didn't like about it was that you can just lie down anytime and just get all your health back, which is a really tempting thing to do, and it will lead you to play the game in a way that will bore you because you want to stay alive, so you're just constantly lying around. And I know that in Metal Gear Solid 3, you can regenerate your health as long as you have enough food, otherwise your stomach empties and then you get weak and whatever. And then in Metal Gear Solid 4, you can get your health back, but you also have to manage your tension meter and stuff like that. And I don't remember any healing factor in Metal Gear Solid 1 or 2, but the healing factor in Peace Walker really made it less fun for me, and I pointed that out, and people were like, you're wrong, the healing factor's always been there. If you don't like healing factor, you don't like Metal Gear Solid, get out. I'm sorry.
No, it's a lot. It's not as involved as the others, though. Like, Snake Eater's healing factor had the whole stamina gauge, and that was a genuinely interesting scenario.
Yeah, because you had to balance them too. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to balance anything in Peace Walker.
I'm not a big fan of Peace Walker. It's mainly because when I play a Metal Gear Solid game, I'm looking forward to having a very unified experience. Preferably in a familiar scenario, in an environment that gets familiar, Like Shadow Moses almost becomes like a familiar friend.
Oh,
and,
sure.
The big shell in Metal Gear Solid 2 is like a very unified area that you become very familiar and intimate with. Metal Gear Solid 4 didn't quite have that because obviously it went all around the world.
Yeah, it's
But
moving too fast.
But it was still, I still loved the game.
Sure.
And it still had very sort of engaging environments and a unique flow to it. Whereas my problem with Peace Walker is my problem with a lot of the other sort of portable Metal Gear Solids is that it's certainly been designed well for a portable game, but that doesn't make it a great Metal Gear game because just breaking up the game into those little segmented missions, that's what kills it as a Metal Gear Solid game to me, because it takes away that unity of the experience and getting in touch with a particular game story and mission, the mission and the environment that mission takes place in. None of that really feels like it's there with Peace Walker. Because
it's very segmented. I mean,
it works worse on a console.
I'd imagine
having these little broken up bits of gameplay and like the menus with the micromanagement and building up a little army and sending them in combat and R&D and building up levels and experience and stuff. Like all of that works fine on a portable thing as a nice throwaway portable Metal Gear Solid Lite. It feels very out of place on the HD collection. Because it's not like the other games at all. It's not a change that's really for the best. Of course, a lot of critics called it one of the best Metal Gear Solids ever, but I don't feel it.
I hate to call people biased, but because the returning to that character, to Naked Snake, and to advancing his story, I mean, people are just so emotionally attached to the boss, Naked Snake. Scenario.
I always found that unnecessary as well, because Snake Eater was such a perfect end.
Oh, sure.
It was such a perfect story, and they went back with it with Metal Portable Ops.
That's right.
Walker, and I don't know, it's
not terrible. It just doesn't
tell too
hold
much
a candle
story.
to it. Yeah.
That was the big problem that fucking Square Enix had when it bent Final Fantasy VII over and raped it for all it was worth. It's like they had a sequel, you had 2 prequels, you had spin-offs, it was so much, and it was like the original story was fine as it was. You can tell too much. It's like whenever there's a masked character in a story and they've had this brilliant element of mystique, and the prevailing Hollywood trend is to always take the mask off, and as soon as you do that, you kill the character.
Yeah, who cares?
Taken away the mystique and the interesting sort of nature of it. And you do that with these sequels to games that were already told their story. It's the equivalent of taking the mask off. It's revealing too much. It's like, I already saw what turned Naked Snake into the treacherous big boss that propelled everything in Metal Gear Solid forward. He worked better as a character that was more mysterious, that was more in the shadows, as this unknown trigger of everything that went on in Metal Gear Solid. Having Snake Eater provided just this great backstory. It showed the nucleus of everything that Metal Gear Solid would be about. Just going back to it with Portable Ops and Peace Walker just made it feel a bit tired. It was like, I didn't need to know more. He ended on a perfect note. We'd been given all the information we needed to know why he became this rebellious, evil son of a bitch.
And you don't really get too much more information from Portable Ops or Peace Walker other than he's like, well, I guess I'll start an army. And like, oh, okay, you needed to start an army. Yeah, I did. Oh, all right. What else? Oh, I did it. Okay. I was gonna say something.
I'd love to see Kojima just reboot Metal Gear, and I mean that's. No, I mean I'd love to see him take the first Metal Gear game, the very first one, where you're introduced to everything, the entire whole thing. Because I mean, the fucking series is almost as old as I am. It's crazy.
Yeah. So he won't do it though. He won't do it. They still have to finish Metal Gear Rising, which they consider kind of a reboot, and they've been working on that for 5 years now. I want
to see the one where it's like Escape from New York, but with giant robots. That's where they're like,
nice idea.
let's have Snake Plissken. Going, oh, it's copyrighted. Okay, we'll have it be a solid snake. That's cool too, right?
Well, that's the thing. It's like the Metal Gear Solid games draw so much from the Metal Gear games, and so few people have played the Metal Gear games, at least to completion.
Yeah.
I mean, I've played Metal Gear like a dozen times for about 5 minutes every fucking time. It's because it's not a game I can really get into, especially after Metal Gear Solid. It's like you start up, you're so used to all the cutscenes and exposition and philosophy and anti-war stuff. You boot up the first Metal Gear and it's, Snake, this is Big Boss, go do a thing. Okay. And it's such a cold disconnect that it's hard to get into it.
Yeah, he intended more. I always, and you guys aren't going to like this, I don't think, I always expected them to make a remake of Metal Gear 1 and 2 for either the PSP or the Wii, because it made sense to me to put it on those consoles. You think it makes sense too? Because it wouldn't.
I mean, I don't know why they would just do it exclusively on the Wii, but
well, they wouldn't have to. They could do PSP, Wii, pretty well.
XBLA, PSN.
Yep, they could have done that too.
Yeah, just that would be great.
Yeah, would have been. Well, I love, my favorite thing about pointer controls, and now it's a PlayStation Move thing too, was just pointing there. I mean, motion controls. I loved the pointing and shooting. I thought that would have been great for Metal Gear. I'm sure we'll get it with Metal Gear Rising or whatever will be PS Move compatible.
What do you guys think about Twin Snakes?
I like it, but I wasn't as attached to the original as most people I know. I liked that you could switch to first person. I thought the new cutscenes were not a replacement of the old ones, but an interesting remake. I can enjoy a remake if it does enough new stuff that it doesn't replace the original, and enjoy them separately in different ways.
Yeah, so Twin Snakes was okay. It's certainly, I'm a huge fan of the first one, and I've got that attachment, but I'm not to the point where, oh my god, it's a travesty, it's a blasphemy.
That's that Capgras again.
Yeah.
People had Capgras.
But I felt the cutscenes were too showy for what it was, because Metal Gear, at least the original Metal Gear Solid, wasn't about being showy and having ridiculous fight scenes and everything. It was much more of a grounded, gritty sort of game. Where, like, even though you were fighting telekinetic freaks and snipers that could never sleep or whatever, there was still a weird kind of realism to it. Whereas in the remake, they had, like, people jumping off of missiles and all kinds of really flashy, over-the-top shit, which I just found a bit gauche. Plus, I didn't think the performances were so good. I didn't think Cam Clark was as campy as he was as Liquid. I didn't think, because I think they even took some of the accents out. Like I think, if I remember correctly, Psycho Mantis dropped the Russian accent and was more American, and I felt it just seemed a bit more vanilla that time round.
Yeah, I'm thinking about picking it up just because I have a Wii now, and well, I don't have a PlayStation, so I want to play the old one, and just I'm curious for nothing else.
It's decent.
It's like it's like when you see what if fucking I don't know, what if Todd McFarlane drew the guys from Sin City? It's like seeing a different spin on something you're familiar with. Like it's
absolutely.
It's definitely something fans should play, I think, just for that extra little perspective on it. So I'd say go for it.
You know what's weird is you could go into first person with the PC version of Metal Gear Solid.
I didn't know that. Huh.
Yeah, I don't even remember if you could see the gun or not. I think it just sort of you had first person for looking in the original.
Right. Sure.
I think it was kind of like that, except you could shoot, which was kind of a strange idea.
No gun, but could shoot.
I can't remember if you could see the gun or not. You didn't really have a HUD or anything. It felt weird.
Yeah, sounds like they just tacked it on there. Let you use it if you want.
You know the story with the voice actors in Twin Snakes?
I used to know it. I can't remember it right now.
David Hayter, God bless his soul, didn't want to do it without all of the original cast. And if I remember correctly, he footed the bill.
Really?
To get them all in. He was the one who pushed and paid for that to happen, because he gives that much of a shit about his voice acting job. I mean, I've got so much respect for that guy, because it's clear he's not just doing it for a paycheck. He gives a real shit about Metal Gear Solid and the character of Snake. And that's why the guy is Solid Snake to a lot of people.
That's awesome.
He's
a cool guy.
Yeah. He has made it his role in the same way like Harrison Ford made Han Solo his role. Like, he's a guy who... And he's probably, like, the first guy to do that with video games, so...
I was just going to say
true.
that, yeah.
He's also a huge nerd. He wrote, what did he
X-Men?
write? He wrote X-Men 2, yeah. Watchmen, less
You do, like,
exciting.
Guyver or whatever it was, that...
He did Guyver?
Guyver 2.
Oh, I love Guyver too. I just said that out loud. I do, though. It's not good, but I want to watch it right now.
What a thrill!
Should we do the questions?
Please.
Yeah.
So yes, I actually did, because people were like, oh, where are the questions? Everyone wants to have their say.
Of course. They want to be a part of the show.
They just want to hear their names.
Right.
Everyone who's asked a question in this is a conceited little man.
Before you start, I just remembered what I was going to say before. It's not that good. It's more of a plug, really. But you were saying how you take the mask off, and it ruins it. People were really trying to get me to take the mask off on the season finale of Talking to Women about video games. They were like, tell us if it's scripted or not. Tell us if you have blah, blah, blah. And I didn't want to tell them. I thought that would maybe make it less fun for them, don't you think? I mean, it's not scripted. I'm not going to write a script, obviously, but just explaining how planned or not planned it is. And
they do that with everything. It's like when they listen to Podtoid and they're like, I think you should have 50% video game talk and 50% talk about anuses. It's like...
We just kind of do it.
We don't really write it. It's not a thing. It's not a plan. It's just...
But does that make it less fun to tell them? Like, should we let them think that maybe you were reading from a teleprompter this whole time?
I don't know, because that would certainly seem less fun to me.
There's so many people for the Destructoid show who just have these like crazy like, they're like, you guys don't really drink out of your cups. Yeah, we do. I don't know why that's a thing.
It's weird what they theorize. Like, everyone's looking for some little conspiracy, even if it's like that.
They're like, Microsoft paid you to say that. I'm like, no, they didn't. The part where we say, and now a word from our sponsor is the part that we get paid to say.
I had one guy who was adamant that the Jimquisition on the Escapist, the show I do, had hired a new writer, and that's why the show was more popular now.
Yeah.
And I've said before, I wish I could afford a fucking writer.
Yeah. Tara and Zach and I write the show. Like, we do it. And, oh, by the way, the Boba Fett coffee mug I have people constantly asking me where to get that. And you type in Boba Fett mug on Google, and it's like the first result. And I don't know how people don't, like, I always am like, oh, I have a really fucking easy job. Like, I have to look up stories about video games on the internet and then paraphrase them and throw in some jokes and then read that off a screen. Like, I'm like, wow, that's really easy. Anyone could fucking do this stupid job. And then you get people who are like, where did you find that information? And I'm like, I fucking looked for it. It's really that simple. Like, I'm not like, there's no special secret internet that I'm using.
Yeah.
There is
nice
special secret
internet, though.
I don't fucking know how to do that. Like,
oh, the internet too. Yeah.
Kids these
I wouldn't
days,
have told
they
them.
made the internet too easy, and now there's just dumb people using it all the time. It's true.
It is a problem. It's true. Yeah. Well, thanks for letting me throw that out there. Just wanted to ask you guys. So you think I'm okay with not telling people all the secrets of talking to women?
Just ignore them forever.
I love when you're mysterious about things, Holmes.
Oh, thanks. Okay. Did you guys see the one with the lady there?
I did. I plugged it on Twitter as well.
Oh, thanks. Is it okay?
Yeah, it was good. It was fucking... Was she one of your patients or not?
I won't say.
What a thrill!
One of my patients is pretty funny. I guess it's questions time. Yeah.
What a thrill!
Oh, do you guys do Harvey Firestone impersonations?
What?
Do you do
no, I don't even know who that is. Is it like Harvey Keitel or not?
It is a little. It's Harvey Keitel with a sore throat, overweight, beard, a little flamboyant, usually a little flirty with the men. You guys don't know Harvey Firestone then?
Oh, was he in Independence Day?
He's probably in that, yeah.
Is he all like, oh, I'm a guy. I'm tweaking off. I'm Danny DeVito.
He is a little like Danny DeVito. He's kind of like, I'm gonna try one. Hey. Okay.
Oh, from the Birdcage?
Yep, he's in that too. Do one, Max. Do it.
Hold on. I always think of the guy from the Men's Warehouse commercials.
All right, start there.
Honey. Oh, come on inside. You finally. Oh my God, we've got Mom on the phone.
Because he's got the New York thing too. Oh, yeah, come here. No, that's not right.
Why is this happening? I'm
You
curious.
got beautiful toenails. No, that's not right either. Damn, I suck at this. I'm going to practice for next week. I don't know. I just
you're gonna love the way you look. I guarantee it.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I enjoyed that. Thank you. All right, I'm sorry. I just needed to throw that out there. That's something I was looking forward to.
Okay.
I like Harvey Firestone. He's good.
It's Harvey Firestein.
That too.
Harvey Firestone is not a person.
I like the Tires guy, and I like the funny gay guy too.
So you're gonna love the way you look. I guarantee it.
I got my nails done.
It's exactly the same as my Mrs. Big Head. Rocco, won't you come inside and have a glass of flies?
Brilliant.
Beverly, what are you talking about talking to the wallaby about? That show's so dirty. Anyway, questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're just doing stupid voices.
That's it. That is a change of pace for us. Ha ha ha. Podtoid
We
so
hadn't really
wacky.
done that. We hadn't done that.
No, we went there. This is the Saints Row the Third of Podtoids.
Oh wow!
Let me get my penis out and do nothing with it.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Okay. Kiddable
Chad Kroger's
says,
birthday.
do you find that collectibles in games are really necessary? Or just a cheap way to add replay value to a game and just add something to tick the box on the cover?
Huh. I think achievements are often not that fun for me at all, but a well-implemented collectible system can be the backbone of an entire game, like Pokemon. It's just collecting stuff, the game, and it's fun.
Oh, I forgot to mention that in my Metal Gear Solid review.
What's that?
That is one of the few games where the achievements are actually part of the experience.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because some of those Easter eggs come with achievements, and it kind of adds a little, like a punchline to it. Like when you make Naked Snake throw up for the first time in Snake Eater, like an achievement pops up that says Ralph called. It's just these little things, and there's a bit where you can look at the poster of one of the naked girls in Metal Gear Solid 2. Like they had the bikini pictures up everywhere. If you look at it and then you bring up your codec, the look on Snake's face makes it look like he's pleasuring himself, and Otacon's like, "Oh, we've got a mission to do," which is funny and everything.
I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but then the achievement pops up and it's called Snake Beater.
Really?
Which I just thought was...
Oh my God, I need that.
It's just little... they actually really wove the achievements in, so you get... the obvious things come up, beat the pain, whatever. But then just those little Easter eggs that we used to just read about in the magazines after Snake Eater came out or whatever, all the fun little Easter eggs that people talk about. And some of them, not all of them, but some of them are actually punctuated by these achievements that pop up, which I thought was a nice touch.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I look forward to that.
And that would be my answer to the guy's question, is if they enhance the game somehow, then sure, it's a good thing. But if they're just there to be there, it's not so much. I think.
And you, Max?
But the collectible, I hate when collectibles are just uninspired. It's usually pretty easy to tell whether or not things are being done because someone understood why it was a thing that people appreciate, or if it's just a thing that they know is popular that they're putting in there. Mm-hmm. For instance, you see I think the Riddler trophies are pretty well done in Arkham games.
Sure.
There are a lot of them, and they can be a little bit tedious, I could see, but I actually found myself interested in finding them. And then you have, for example, God, what was the game I was playing that had trading cards in it that were just hidden around? And I'm like, this is fucking retarded. This is
Final
trading
Fantasy?
Cards. No, maybe. They do it in a lot of games, and I'm just like, okay, you guys heard someone talking about, Pokemon, and you're like, oh, that's a video game, but they also have cards of it. What if we put the cards in our game? And then it is an exciting thing. And it's that's not a fun thing. Finding a trading card in a game doesn't make me go, oh, whoa. If it was a funny picture of the characters in a game doing something weird, that. The thing is, Metal Gear has a lot of Easter eggs that I appreciate, But when it's just like a thing that you're supposed to complete the collection of, it's totally cheap.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Snake Eater had a brilliant sort of way of integrating collectathons into the gameplay anyway, because it was full of, like, I think over 40 different plants and animals to collect and eat, which obviously had an effect on the game, because it was always fun to, like, see how much stamina will this snake recover for me, how tasty will Snake find it. And then, of course, you could speak to Paramedic and she would have actual educational information on all the animals in the game, usually with a bit of witty banter from Snake as well. So it was they really integrated collecting into that in such a way that it didn't really feel like a collectathon. Because, I mean, the animals were just there naturally, and there was so much incentive to do it. And
it's similar in Skyward Sword with the bug catching, by the way. It's not as good as Metal Gear Solid 3, but it's pretty good.
Currently in Skyrim, I think that alchemy is pretty stupid, but I'm currently stopping to get off my horse to pick flowers. And while I do this, I think to myself, I'm a girl. I'm a pretty little girl. I'm getting off my horse to pick flowers. This game is making me into a lady. And then I eat the flowers, and I find out that they make me fire resistant or whatever, so... surprised by that. I don't know. That whole collectible mentality is weird.
Yeah, it can be great though sometimes.
Brett Zeidler wants to know where's the intern love on Podtoid. I don't know whether he wants us to invite because obviously Destructoid's had a lot of interns come on, like a lot of contributing writers. I don't know if he wants them to come on as guests or if he wants us to just love them.
I love them. I love them a lot.
Brett Zeidler, I would like to lick your cherry red anus. Like, what else would you want?
We were at one point thinking we should have every intern on the show
just to
at
abuse
once.
them.
Yeah,
when I first met Wesley Rusher, who's now I think part of the he hangs out with John Carnage and does that thing with him, but he also writes a lot of reviews.
Sure.
Cool guy, I like him. When I first met him, it was actually when I was previewing Saints Row. The first time, and I showed up, and I went to the wrong hotel room actually, and knocked on the door, and a shirtless man came to the door, and I called Hamza and I said, "I'm at the wrong hotel," and he's like, "You're fucking retarded." So I went to the right hotel, and I was sort of in a fluster and in a hurry, and I showed up and I sort of shook hands with a bunch of people, and Hamza's like, "This is Wesley, this is Wes," I'm like, "Oh, hi, nice to meet you," or no, I looked at Hamza and I said, "Is he one of the interns?" And Hamza said yes, and Wes kind of looked at me and I said, "Do I talk to it?" And I think Wes sort of thought I was an asshole for a little bit, but I don't know. He told me the other day, he's like, "I thought you were like a fucking dick when I first met you," and I was like, "I was a dick when you first met me," but I've been nice to him since then. I give him treats every now and then.
Daniel Starkey.
Oh yeah,
who is?
Seems nice.
He's a very ego lad. He's a very ego lad.
His little hats and stuff running around.
Yeah, he's always wearing his cute little hats. Oh, he's a happy little boy. The interns I've got on my review team are lifesavers. Alistair Pinsoff in particular. Even though every time I say the word Pinsoff out loud, I think Pince off. As in,
I haven't forgiven him because he was the little shit who got to preview Skyrim before either of us. So I think we should just continue hating him publicly.
I get very zen about previews because I don't do them by choice, and I'm like, I'm playing the long game. I just got to sit here, be patient. Eventually, there will be a knock at my door, and the FedEx man will be there, and I'll be like, I played the long game, and now I'll play the full game.
Previews can be pretty offsetting, I think.
Previews they take a certain skill set that I think are different from a reviewer's skill set. It's like I've done, I'll cover stuff at E3, but it's not my arena. And Hamza and his team they're amazing at that. Plus, they're really good at getting drunk, which always helps preview events.
I do those okay occasionally. I love preview events that just turn out to be bullshit, and we're like, and Hamza just goes, "Yeah, you don't have to write anything," and I'm like, "Open bar, swag bag full of t-shirts I'll never wear."
Yeah, some of those events get weird. I went to one for Metro 2033 that eventually just turned into a huge industry party. Like people from Ubisoft and 2K just kind of turned up, and we're just like, "Sup." So that was quite fun. Anyway, let's get on with it. Naturality says, "Well, I don't know." See, this is what confuses me about Podtoid listeners, because he says, will you guys ever do a special extra length Podtoid for Christmas or some such event? It's like, and he wants to know how many hours he would do that for.
Are you goddamn kidding
What
me?
does that even mean?
We do a fucking 2.5 hour podcast on a regular basis. Like,
we're
that's
over
really
2.5 hours now.
He's estimated us doing it for a whole week. He says my own estimate is that it would last over a week until it eventually rolled straight into the following week's like, how much podcast do you need?
I would like to do
from
that.
Games Radar, on their 100th episode, they did, I shit you not, a 6-hour podcast.
Really?
You know what? I'm just going to say this.
6-hour.
If you have that much time to sit and listen to a bunch of retards like babbling and pissing off their neighbor, I go outside and do anything else. Just go outside of your house and go somewhere else.
I mean, I will. I appreciate a nice long podcast, because there are times when I want to just, because I work pretty fucking hard sometimes, and sometimes I just want to sit on my beanbag and just have sounds happen around me. And so I'll listen to quite a lot of podcasts.
Well, that's
You're
the appeal.
like a giant baby.
I do have like a Sesame Street mobile hanging above me that I just bat at while drinking milk. But I like to do that, so I can appreciate that, but no one needs 6 hours. No one needs a week.
Sure.
I don't know what we'll do for Christmas. Maybe espouse the message of our Lord, who was born for us.
Sure.
If you're going to do anything for Christmas, listen to Danzig's third album, How the Gods Kill. It's a good
I
album.
remember that one. Does that have Can't Sleep on it?
I think that's on his fourth one, actually.
My mistake.
Maybe. But yeah, that's got How the Gods Kill, which has a great video, which has an H.R. Geiger monster with tits and just dripping spit everywhere and like a tongue that comes out in tentacles. So go watch that, because Merry Christmas, motherfuckers. Next question.
Jezza asked myself and Max whether we're looking forward to Prometheum, the Alien prequel. I should point out, it's not an Alien prequel anymore.
I've heard
Something
that.
else. And
It's Ridley Scott's desperate grasp at relevance.
But my point is, if the Alien point was so dismissible, it wouldn't, like, people were upset. It's like, oh my god, I can't believe he's not, like, he's turned it into a prequel, like, into just its own film, and it's not an Alien prequel anymore. But like, if the Xenomorph angle was that dismissible, it wouldn't have been a good Alien prequel. So I'm not that bothered. But
I hate that he had to call it that to get any attention to it, because people are so fucking, it's such a comfort zone with familiar franchises.
Sure.
And it goes back to the Snake Eater stuff. It's like, they were talking about, showing where the aliens came from. No, don't do that. Again, it's taking the mask off. It's a lot scarier to think that they're just some other species that's just around and may have been around forever. Like, there's that mystery that makes them scary. It's like, we don't know where they came from. They just came from space, and now they're sexing our heads. I don't want to know that they were weapons bred in a factory somewhere. I don't want to know what planet
Why would they
they're
want
from.
that? And then the motherfucker's like, oh yeah, guess what, guys? Doing a prequel to Blade Runner. It's like, guess what? They have that. It's called fucking regular everyday life. We don't have flying cars, but we have got fucking space-age computers. I don't know.
Oh well. Technicolor Dewdrop says, what is this belief that just because someone plays a challenging game, i.e. Dark Souls, they're some kind of hardcore gamer? It's bullshit. That's what that is.
Yeah, it is.
There is a
Who
guy
thinks that?
on...
People think that?
There's a commenter on Destructoid, I think he calls it Eggman something or other, constantly has a go at myself because he thinks that I'm not a real gamer because I only like quote-unquote easy games for girls. Says that he theorized at one point that because I called Kirby's Return to Dreamland adorable, I have too much estrogen because of my fat weight, and that makes me like girly things.
Wow.
Which would explain my vagina, but I don't think that's quite the case. It's just, you get these people that, I don't know, it's like gamers as a whole are already looked down on, and you have the nerve to look down on other gamers as if you're somehow like Lord of the Flies. It really is a sad, miserable little attitude. And I see that a lot with Modern Warfare 3 at the moment. Like people just looking down and just arrogantly sneering at Modern Warfare players because they are real gamers. Ooh.
Yeah, if you want to be respected, the first thing you need to do is show respect to others if they deserve it. And if someone really loves a video game and you love video games yourself, it only makes sense to respect them, even if it's not the kind of game you would particularly like, right? Isn't that
the part
obvious?
that really cracks me up about the whole like, Dark Souls, I'm a good gamer. It's like, well, you spent all that time playing that game. That's awesome. What do you have to show for it? Oh, your gamer score is really high. Oh, I got Skyrim 2 weeks before it came out. I get paid to play video games for a living. I have a hot girlfriend. Fuck you. I win.
Of course, you always win, Max Scoville. That's one of the. I bring it
well
up
is
all
the
the
best
time.
revenge. I have to remind myself of that. It's just,
they can't even. They shouldn't be able to touch you at this point. I mean, you're so obviously above the rim.
I'm Rihanna. I'm not.
You are.
I'm not hotter than Rihanna. I am.
Beautiful girlfriend.
Rihanna.
You are Rihanna. You're the Rihanna of video games. Beautiful girlfriend. Great job.
I am Riri. I am
great
my own
friends.
girl. That's my girl.
2 podcasts, 1 TV show. Good looking, tall, well dressed. People make gifts of you all the time. The list goes on. You are the alpha male.
Your partner has hit you in the face before?
Yeah.
Yep. And the crotch.
Yeah.
Yep.
What a thrill.
Yeah. Did you guys see the other day on the Twitter, one of the trending topics was Chris Brown is a legend in all caps.
Well,
I'm like, no, Paul Bunyan is a legend. Chris Brown beat the shit out of Rihanna. You got it confused.
Yeah.
There are certain trending topics on Twitter where I see the trending topic and I'm like, if I click on this, I know that all of the Twitter avatars will look exactly the same. And they always are.
You know what? I wish that Team Follow Back, I wish they'd all follow each other into the ocean and drown. Like, I wish all the people who are like, oh, yeah, I have all these followers on Twitter. That means something. Like, no, it doesn't. It's like the dumbest game. I play Twitter like Farmville. Like, it's a thing I do when I'm bored. And I always, like, giggle to myself when I got like 13 people retweeting how it's the lead singer of Nickelback's birthday. Fuck all of you. Go to hell, assholes. I was kidding. I was being sarcastic.
I had to I changed trending topics to like, I set the location to somewhere like Brazil. Just so I didn't have to deal with things like, you need to punch your girlfriend if, or you'll be front and if. It's like, fuck off.
Wow. Well, one of the trending topics for my area is just Drake. Just the word Drake. Is that a thing? Is that a guy?
That's a bird. That's a bird.
He's a rock and roll guy, maybe?
No.
It's a bird? I like birds.
It's a drake. It's like a male goose.
Oh, no. I think it's a rapper who's got bad raps.
It is.
Do you love me or do you not?
You know what's a great game is Def Jam Rap Star.
You've said that before. It's hard
so great.
to believe.
You have to get pretty drunk and play with people who have the same same really high tolerance for irony and malt liquor that you do, because you'll leave the house and you'll be like, oh my god, I'm so good at rap, and you'll go home and you're like, that was fun, that was it, I'm done, I'm going to sleep now.
That can be Drake. Fun. Sure. I'm anything can be fun though with the right people and alcohol, right? Alcohol.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I've had a couple of people
surgery,
asking,
bro.
I had a couple of people asking where our regular features went. We never had any. Like,
what are regular features?
Things like, one guy, what happened to Jim's weekly drug feature with Holmes? It was 1 week, then I forgot. People like, one guy got really angry and was like, where's the Willem Dafoe movie pitches or the drug thing? It's like, the only thing that really lasted was the Willem Dafoe thing. We've never actually had regular sections. I just say we do.
I've appreciated that you occasionally ask me to do the unintentionally sarcastic sounding old man now and
How would the unintentionally sarcastic old man show that gratitude?
Show the gratitude to you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Jim, you're such a special guy. I really, really like you. And the things you do for me, I don't even know why. You're so good. It was really weird that time.
I love that. He's getting worse. Like, he's clearly got some lung condition.
Yeah, it's fun to force those out.
Deary me. Jossmeister says, if you could fuck any dragon in the world, which would it be?
The last dragon. That guy's hot.
I know a girl whose last name was Dragon.
Oh
I know
yeah,
a girl whose
she
last name
sounds
was
like
Dragon.
the best
Yeah,
girl.
she's
You should.
she's
marry
pretty
her.
hot. She's a pretty hot girl. She
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not gonna incriminate myself here. It's like
You and your.
anyway.
Yeah, you
What?
did the thing.
I didn't
You-
do anything.
you're
She did
kissing.
things, man. I didn't do anything.
That's such a weird lifestyle you lead.
Yeah. I just hate when I like have a story, and if I start telling it, it'll just sound like I'm reading a penthouse letter. So I don't want to.
Such
I'm just saying someone's clothes came off for no reason, and there was a Super Nintendo sitting on my bed. That was actually kind of a related thing. It's just like some weird part I remember of that story. I don't.
Good on you, dog. You're that guy. You know, I've been hanging out with a lot of girls lately. Caitlin Cook came over. She works for Destructoid. She came over last week and played Skyward Sword. Hanging around with an accordion player who was on an episode of Talking to
I
Women.
love her. She's funny.
She's really good, man. We're starting a band. Actually practicing on Thursday, I think. And it's her birthday on Saturday. Happy birthday. We're going to go bowling. Anyway,
Good.
yeah, she's neat. And other women. And they've been telling me more and more about this archetype that I didn't know about from the female perspective, which is there's this hot guy that they know is having sex with all the other girls, but they don't care because he's hot. I think that might be you, Max Scoville.
Oh, that shit. That totally was me, I think.
I've never really hung out with that guy because he's, he's
I don't-
a pretty cool guy. He won't hang out with me.
I,
But you
the
hang out
weird
with me.
the weird thing is like I guess I'm like I mean I've been with my girlfriend for like 18 months now or something, and for a while I was a scoundrel. I was like a bad boy. I was a terrible man going around doing things.
Sure.
And like I remember having friends who were just like you're such a slut or something, and I'm like what? I just do it. I'm just having fun. Like it's not a big deal. And
Have you heard
like,
the Divine Comedy by Casanova? No, Casanova by the Divine Comedy.
No, I haven't.
I'm going to send it to you.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
But yeah, it's just weird. Like I'm sort of. I feel like I'm kind of getting older, or at least I'm thinking about things differently, and sort of thinking back to how I like used to act. And I'm like, I was kind of obnoxious, and I was like, how did other people perceive me? And trying to sort of think about that, and I think that might have been the case. Like, I pretty much got along with everybody. I just occasionally pissed somebody off by being like, just sort of like a Casanova or like a
yeah, you're definitely
coxcomb.
Casanova. Sure,
yeah.
that was
I don't know, it was weird. Yeah.
nothing wrong with that.
Even my girlfriend's like, you're such a slut. I'm like, I just dated, just went around having sex with girls. I'm sorry, I'm not doing anything bad, you know. I'm not trying to be a jerk
Yeah.
about it. Like,
No, it's in your DNA. You can do it in a nice way.
well,
Sure. Yeah, I'll send you that song. You'll like it.
Okay.
I'll send you that after the podcast.
One more, I guess.
All right, sounds
I
good, Jim.
want to see if I can get out and get Rayman Origins.
Good.
Nick128 says, with your job, you constantly get new games. How big is your library, and do you get rid of some? And then he asks if we trade them in. And I'm going to go on record and say that I do trade in quite a few games. I will also add that they more often than not go towards
More
actual
games.
stuff that helps my job.
Right.
I might get something I need, like console-wise, or I might use it to get a game that a publisher hasn't sent to me. So it still helps my job, and it's just good business sense to me. It's like if there's a game that's just going to sit on my floor and do nothing, then I can put it towards something that helps me with my job. So yeah, I mean, and I've made no secret of being a huge supporter of the used game industry anyway. So yeah, some of them, not all of them. I mean, it's if it's a good enough game, I'll definitely keep it. I won't trade in something that I think is really stellar and should be kept and treasured. But yeah, I've got no problem trading some of them in.
I don't do it. I always think that if I do, I'm going to regret it and then buy it again and actually lose money in the
I've actually
process.
done that before.
Yeah,
But
I've done that too. I
don't
never
really
want to do
like-
that again. Yeah, it's not a big deal. I mean, you can't take it with you, but all the same, I know myself well enough at this point that I love having just tons of video games around. So I have so many video games. Actually, when Caitlin Cook came over, she was shocked and almost appalled by my 45 or 50 Wii games and my 70 DS games and my 30 PSP games. She's like, no one plays those systems.
They are the
Like,
worst.
I do.
What the
I do.
hell is your You
I
do
have
it
so
on
many.
purpose. You do it
No,
on purpose.
I know, and I love the games I got, dog. I love them.
I just
I
love,
love
yeah,
'em.
just to have like 4, like like, oh yeah, you ever seen 5 copies of the Hannah Montana the movie game in one place at one time? Because I got them all, dog.
Allow me to blow your mind.
I have right now. I'm holding a factory sealed copy of Cooking Mama Cook Off. I don't know why it
Can
doesn't have
you-
a price tag on it. I don't know where it came
You
from.
do it on purpose.
Somebody
Oh
might have
my
given it to me.
Christ,
I want a really
I
bad,
haven't opened it.
I want a bad Wii game.
You want a bad Wii game? I should send you
Really.
one.
I want a bad Wii game. I want a really terrible. I want one with animals in it, but not even animals that I like.
Get
So
Calling. That's a pretty fucked up one.
Oh
Would-
yeah, that was really disappointing, wasn't it? It could have
Calling?
turned out better. Yeah, it's just you call people on a phone and then it
you
goes.
pretend to have a.
It
You
tries
fu-
to be like Ringo or The Grudge or something. My stepkid saw, like, he's seen all of 5 minutes of it, but it must have resonated with him because he brings it up all the time. It's like, hey, do you remember Calling? You see, remember the ghost in Calling? Or we'll go in like a dark room. Is like, this is just like Calling. I'm like, dude, we played that like over a year ago. You saw 5 minutes of it. I never let you. You never got to see the full game. You saw a bit of a corridor, and he will carry that to the grave.
It's funny.
Calling. I have a
Um,
sealed in box copy of Major Minor's Majestic March
Oh,
that I
God.
think I can send you, Max.
Is that like Muscle March?
It is by the Parappa the Rapper guys, so you'd think it would
Boy.
be good, but it's not good.
Well,
Oh,
Parappa the
man.
Rapper wasn't good.
Well, I like Parappa the Rapper quite well. I like Jammer Lammy a lot. I like Parappa the Rapper songs. I like playing Jammer Lammy a lot because of all the improv you can do. Anyway, yeah, I'll send you this, Max. It'll make you feel bad.
Oh boy.
It's got a green monkey on it with a tambourine. No, I'm sorry, trombone.
But to answer the question, the with the used games and stuff,
Oh, yeah.
I don't have a very big game collection, and I trade stuff in too. I do what Jim does. I'll buy stuff that I need for work or stuff that I just feel like I'm missing out on, and occasionally I'll buy stuff that I'm like, I want this for myself. Like I want this game.
You
I
become
really,
Delta Burke.
but I'm at this point where like I traded in a few things that I had before I got a nice TV where I could see things, and now I'm like kind of getting like, well, what would it look like if I had a nice TV? Like, should I go back and get that game and see what it looks like on this TV that I have where I can actually read it? Like, would I actually enjoy LA Noire if I could read the words on the screen? Like, is it worth it? So who knows?
I saw screenshots of Skyward Sword in HD, and I don't really care about HD, but that I really could tell the difference. It looked really good.
Well, it's
Yeah.
not hard to tell the difference because it's a glaring difference.
I can't tell the difference very much. Just like, some people are like, her boobs are slightly bigger than her boobs, so those boobs are the boobs I want.
People
Those
who
boobs...
say that they can't tell the difference between HD is a liar and should be shot.
That's like saying, I mean, my wife can't tell the difference between Steve Carell and the guy from PCU, who's now in Entourage. What's his name again?
Liar,
She
shot.
can't tell the difference.
Liar, shot. Liar, shot. What a thrill.
Eyes just don't work like other people's eyes. In HD, I'm just like, I sort of see it, but
Yeah.
But yeah, Skyward Sword looks really good in HD. Oh, Wii U does upscaling.
Everything you just said is a lie.
I'm wrestling with a cat right now.
You've never played.
I wouldn't lie to you.
You've never played Skyward Sword.
I wonder if I could have pulled off reviewing it without playing it. Probably could. That's a temptation I will never give into.
What a thrill!
Exactly. What a thrill. But it wouldn't pay off. No, it'd be sad.
I'm afraid to play older games that I thought had really good graphics when I played them on a standard definition TV on my HD TV because I feel like it might just shatter my world. Like I'm afraid to put in GTA 4, because I'm like, this looks so good. It looks really good on my friend's TV. It was like maybe like a 36-inch like CRT TV, and this was like 8 years ago or whenever the fuck it came out. Not 8 years ago, but I was like, it's so exciting. Oh my god, looks so good. It looks so amazing. Look like real people running around on the streets. And I feel like if I put it in now, I'd just be like, oh, get that away from me. What is this?
It's sad how expectations.
It's good though because the copy of Grand Theft Auto 4 I have it doesn't even work. I have a broken copy. Sorry, I'm just rambling.
Oh, weird. I didn't know they made those. Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I stole it from. And my friend gave it to me. He's like, "Hey man, you want to borrow this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I love that. I love to play some GTA 4. That's a good game." And he's like, "Okay." And I put it in. I'm like, this doesn't work at all. He's like, yeah, it does that sometimes. Cool. I'm glad I borrowed it.
At least he didn't sell it to you. You know the meanest thing I ever did? I sold a used copy of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the NES game, for like $80 to a kid when it cost, I think, $60 in the store. It was used. I'm like, you want to buy it? He's like, yeah. I'm like, $80.
How old were you, and how old was he? This will
the
make or
same
break
age.
whether you... Okay.
We were the same age.
All right, okay.
But
Sorry, I got this image of you as a 30-year-old man selling it like a like a 10-year-old.
No, we were in, I want to say we were in 7th grade.
Okay.
I think that's when I was hanging around with Masaru Kuwabara, who was the Japanese exchange student who had the
Kuwabara.
Masaru Kuwabara. He had gray hair. He had gray hair when we were 11. I was like, how did you do it, Masaru? He's like, I don't know. And we'd play PC Engine all day. It was so fun. Anyway, yeah, that was pretty mean that I sold that game to that kid for 20 extra bucks, right? It's pretty mean, right?
Yeah,
Still
but
feel bad about it.
forgivable.
He had a unibrow, and he was in all the lower level classes. I think he might have had some cognitive disability or something.
And even today, even in this day and age, you're making money off of the mentally impaired.
That's right. I'm exploiting them
For shame.
all their money they've got, all their hundreds of dollars they've saved
For
up.
shame. I bet you still do it. I bet you still, like, you sell fucking NES games to crackheads.
Because that's what they want.
Because they want to crush up Ninja Turtles and snort it.
Yeah, for a high price, you can jack up the market on that. What? That almost made sense. Anyway, I'm sorry. I didn't sleep at all last night. I was writing that talking to women about video games answers post until 4:30 in the morning.
Jesus.
It's so long and stupid. I'm so sorry. Anyone who looks at that and is like, why did he write all that? I felt a real sense of responsibility to everyone who asked a question that actually bothered to talk to me about the stupid thing I did.
I'm so glad we don't have that sense of ethical responsibility on Podtoid.
Yeah. So what that post isn't really meant to be read by anyone other than the people that asked the questions, and therefore didn't really need to be a post on Destructoid. But there it is. Sorry, that happened.
What a thrill!
What did you so supreme again?
You're so supreme. You're so supreme. Take it out. 7 rings in hand.
Yeah, that's a beautiful song.
That'll be a
If there was a place called Blood Island, would you go to it?
Yeah.
Sure.
Good.
By boat? It's an island.
By blood boat. You can only get there by blood boat.
So, yeah. Captain Blood is steering.
They have great pineapples there, though. That's the thing that's really weird. Is you're like, what's on Blood Island? And it's like, well, it's a pretty small little, little touristy town. A lot of pineapple. They have the best pineapples. That's their whole thing. Why do they call it Blood Island? Because everyone there is a vampire. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I'm tired.
It's definitely that time to wrap up.
I enjoyed that idea you just made up.
That's good. Pineapple Vampire Island.
Thank you.
Brilliant. That'd be like a great video game. You have to go on an island and, like, people go there as, like, adventurers because they've got the best pineapples in the world, but you have to, like, fight your way through vampires to get to that tasty, tasty citrus. That'd be brilliant. I can't eat pineapples. They burn my tongue.
Yeah, they're pretty acidic.
They're bad. And I've got a particularly, like, sensitive sort of...
You could be a super taster, dog. I'm a super taster. It's rough. Life's hard as a super taster.
Probably why I eat so much food.
I'm going to be going to Blood Island.
I don't think you even eat a lot of food.
I don't eat... When I eat, it's the wrong thing, and I'm lazy. That's the problem.
I've seen you eat an apple, and that's it. And we've spent days together.
That apple was hilarious.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Did you draw a face on it or anything?
No, I was just incredibly drunk, and I suddenly realised the reality of the fact I was holding an apple, and I couldn't take it. I literally could not bear the concept, and it was hilarious, so I burst out laughing and fell on the floor.
Yeah, it's on video.
It
I
is
can't
on
remember what
video.
it's called. Something
Oh,
about
man.
Sonic the Hedgehog birthday party.
God,
Yeah.
I miss you guys. I want to come
I miss
visit
you too.
soon.
Hoping we'll all be at PAX and E3 and all that stuff.
I hope I can go to PAX East. I'd really like to. Go out
That'd
to
be great.
Boston.
You can
We
come
should
right
go
over.
to the Boston Harbor and look at the boats they have there.
Well, at one PAX, if we're allowed to do another Destructoid panel, at least at PAX Prime, I want to do the next Destructoid panel as a Podtoid live. Just us four talking, stomping cake into the floor and stuff.
Yeah. Promise them that we're not going to fuck it up anymore.
Yeah, we will be good this time. Anyway, I've got to go because my window of opportunity to leave.
I want to see what that giant bee delivered to my house.
You gotta close it up, Jim. You gotta do that.
I'm gonna do my thing.
Okay.
What a thrill! Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to Podtoid for a bit. I'd like to thank Tara Long, who is no longer with us.
Smart girl.
She's gone up to heaven. And I'd like to thank Max Scoville. Say goodbye.
Goodbye. You guys can hear my other podcast if you're curious. It's The Comedy Button. TheComedyButton.com. We're doing it weekly. It's only like an hour long, so.
Is that Tuesdays? It
goes up Friday afternoons, right when I'm live on the internet and can't post it myself. So
this show go up on Tuesdays. I messed up. Sorry.
Yeah, boy. Dog, what's up?
There's such a fine line between just being a baby and a hip hop talking guy. What's up?
No man should have all that power. I can't get west. I do it my rap. You can kiss my asshole.
What? That's like every racist voice in one.
No, that is Kanye. That is a pitch perfect Kanye West impersonation. Listen to Power again.
I don't want anyone to
kiss my whole ass. Kiss my asshole.
Don't touch my asshole, guys. Don't touch it.
I want to hear a rap song where the guy's just like telling people not to like sexually harass him. Like it's just like, yo, I gotta be assertive. You touched my butt earlier. Don't do that, please. Be great rap.
You should do it.
Yep.
That's your idea, your job. You do
Jonathan
it.
Holmes, anything else you want the listeners to look at on the internet that you have done or not?
I really want them to see the video that McFly Gold, otherwise known as Tara Long GIF, made of me inserted into a level of Rhythm Heaven Fever. And if you would watch the last episode for this season, who knows? Hopefully it'll come back, of talking to women about video games. Maybe we'll do that again. I want to know what people think of the last episode, because to me the last episode really summed it up. It was all building up to that. And people might not watch it though because it doesn't have any actual video game names in the title, so there's no Skyrim or GTA 5 to bait people. So check it out. I'm interested. Fuck 'em? What?
No, I mean, they don't watch it because of whatever reason.
Well, people aren't going to stumble upon it like they would other ones. You have to have pretty much been watching the series to bother with it. So, I want to know what people think.
It's a secret fan episode. Shh.
Kind of is.
It's a secret. Shh. You can go on the escapistmagazine.com, just escapistmagazine.com, watch the Jimquisition, which is a video series I do. I was promoting it to random workers in Best Buy last night. I felt like I was doing grassroots promo work. This week's episode's about the hate out of 10 review score phenomenon, so it's doing pretty well, so go watch that. Otherwise, you just will catch us all on Destructoid.com doing our things. Got the Dtoid show every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We got a Skyward Sword review that went up that Jonathan Holmes did. My Metal Gear Solid HD review went up today as well. Check it all out. Let us know what you think about things that we've written and done on the internet. And we will see you next week.
Welcome.
What a thrill.
That was good closer.
Tree frog.
Oh, what are you guys doing?